Hello, welcome back to the Monster Train review series. I'm here once again, joined by Cranberry.
Knees weak. Mom spaghetti.
That's right. Sorry, M&M. Almost
Hello.
forgot. It's Umbra today.
Marshall Mathers.
Marshall Mathers. How you feeling about Umbra? You excited?
Yeah. I'm excited.
Me too. This is my favorite clan.
I don't think it's my favorite. I wouldn't say necessarily have a favorite. I would say that overall Stygian is probably my least favorite.
Agree.
But as far as the actual favorite, I go back and forth on them a lot. Other than maybe the Awoken is pretty consistently one of my favorites, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm lukewarm on the Awoken. I think I would probably say I go back and forth on like Umbra and maybe Melting, but I feel kind of bored when I play Melting. Umbra's exciting. Without further ado, you want to start talking about Penumbra here?
Hell yeah.
Alright, so the three versions of Penumbra. Penumbra did recently get a buff. Bless up, Penumbra. So Architect is starting base stats at 2520, scaling up to 140, and of course giving you that extra space. Monstrous starts at a 4025, scaling up to a 170-100, all of these with trample. But do note that Umbra goes to 4, 5, 6 space, which is, and this is true, a lot. And then Glutton, which gains the Gorge +3/+1 and always starts with Lifesteal 2. How do you feel about Penumbra?
It's cool. I haven't played too much with the buffs, so I can't say for certain, but it seems like they've made Penumbra a much more playable champion.
Yeah.
It kind of used to be like the weakest aspect of Umbra, and now I think it's like within acceptable range of the other champions, maybe even better than most of them. I can't really say for that exactly, but it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, Umbra had one of the lower win rates because of Penumbra had the lower win rate. I don't know, however they determined that, because Penumbra got those buffs. However, I gotta say, I think that Penumbra was kind of getting a lot of hate. Like, don't get me wrong, the stat buffs were fine, and I was definitely a conspirator in this conspiracy theory, but I think Penumbra was actually okay pre-buffs. You just take trample, slap it on the floor, and it does work for you. I mean, shit, that's what you do now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no secret strat. I will say, no matter how many buffs they give it, I think that Gorge Penumbra is never going to be good.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get to him, but Crucible Warden just kind of goes.
Yeah.
And Penumbra doesn't necessarily go. Yeah. When it comes to like you wanting a Gorge unit, like there's better choices for the Umbra clan, so it's tough to use Penumbra in that slot.
Yeah, well,
not that it's bad, but it's just not great.
No, it's bad. Let me tell you why. Gorge Penumbra is really bad because Gorge Penumbra gets, even at the max level, it's +12/+4, +6/+2, +3/+1 at the first level. This is really bad. You can't have your Gorge unit be your DPS because they can't Gorge from the backline, and if they have, I don't know, say 20 health, they're just gonna get killed. Penumbra dies to like everything in the early game if you're gorging.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Penumbra would be more viable Gorge Penumbra would be more viable if the stat buffs were reversed, if it was the bigger bonus to HP?
Absolutely. This would turn Penumbra into a great tank. You would be getting so much value off of this. Penumbra would be broken out of control.
Yeah, getting plus 12 HP per Gorge would be pretty good.
That would be like unbeatable in a lot of situations. Like that would probably be broken, even.
Would we go as far as broken?
Yeah, because like think about it, right? I'm sure you've seen some of the times where I've used the Morsel spike to generate 12 uses of a single Morsel Miner. Imagine doing that with Gorge Penumbra gaining 12 HP. That would be like, you trigger that at Gorge 12 times, you'd gain 144
Yeah, but
health.
like, I think when we look at the Umbra, we need to compare, when we talk about like a tank Gorge unit, we need to compare it to Crucible Warden, who can stack up 30 stacks of lifesteal.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like what's better, right? Like, 300 HP or 30 stacks of lifesteal.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty straight up, right? But like it's just so the Gorge mechanic, I guess we should explain, because it is a mechanic that a lot of people will get confused on, especially since when you hover over Gorge in this circumstance, it just says triggers when this unit eats a morsel. That's not a mechanic in this game. That's not a mechanic that's intuitive. The way that it works is Umbra generates morsel units, which then you play. They're little one-space boys, and at the end of the round, they get eaten. They provide a buff of some sort, depending on which morsel, to the front unit in the row that they're played on. So,
front non-morsel unit.
Yeah.
Morsels cannot eat other morsels.
That's true. Good thing to note. So, you can't put Penumbra in the back, like behind a tank, and also have Penumbra trigger this gorge. That is the big crux of my argument against this Penumbra.
Yes, which I agree with. I agree with a 1,000,000 billion% that DPS units cannot be, or DPS gorge units cannot exist.
Yeah.
Because they need to be big enough to take hits in the front line.
Honestly, gorge units are typically just boss killers, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we've harped on Glutton enough. The other two, Monstrous 40-25 with Trample is really good at the start of the game. This kills almost everything. It'll kill all of the little guys. It'll take every heavy down to 5 health, and if you're against Apprentice of Light.
I'm sorry, what was that?
What? Sorry, did you say something?
I think I coughed the Burnout Rector.
Yes. Look, Burnout Rector's cool and all, but does he trample?
No.
That's what I thought.
But when we're talking about like an early game unit, like Burnout Rector, though.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm gonna take the stance. I think Trample Penumbra might be better than Burnout Rector.
I disagree. But
I
understand that there's a difference between 40 trample and 65 untrample. Right? There's it's not a straight up 65 is better. I think general use case.
No.
Also, Rector is taking up 2 spaces versus Trample Penumbra taking up 4 spaces.
Yeah, circumstantial, and Rector having more health. Whatever, who cares? Health schmuff. Anyway, so here's my argument. In my Trample Penumbra is able to face down everything, whereas Burnout Rector will leak a few of the early game stuff. Okay, I put it like this, right? I think Trample Penumbra is better at the early game, and yet is still weak. That 25 health is a bit of a sticking point, and also the 4 space means that you can't play anything with Penumbra. But for the most part, like if you're against like the clergy that spawns a bunch of clergymen, Penumbra can handle that, and Rector will bleed a little bit of damage. And all of the like little foot soldiers can bleed through as well, and where Umbra cleans them up. It's not a big difference, and my main argument is that if you look at Monstrous 3, as long as you take a Space Prism, this is a 170-100 with Trample.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's definitely
big.
We'll not deny that is a cool part about him. However, good luck putting anyone else on the floor with him still.
I mean, you're going to be real thirsty for space. And one other interesting thing to note about Monstrous is that Monstrous always, at every point in the game, falls just short of killing a heavy without help. 40 health is just short of 45, 80 health is just short of 105, and 170 is just short of 190.
Yeah.
So Penumbra really wants to gorge some attack.
Are there any ways in Umbra to like easily put him over that damage threshold?
Yeah, it's like you gotta give him some morsels, right? But then he takes up too much space. It's hard to play morsels with him.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's not bad. Like I like Trample a lot because Trample is a good answer to how do I kill these heavies, right? This is a fine answer to that. With something to help clean it up on the 2nd floor or the 3rd floor, you can take care of it. I like Trample Penumbra a lot, and I think that Trample Penumbra just carries a lot of games for you.
How do you feel about Architect Penumbra?
What do you even say about this? It's like not a unit.
He's kind of cool.
At level 2, you're basically playing in every aspect of free 50-30, and that's it.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. Yeah. I think Architect Penumbra is really, really good to cannibalize and make space for better things.
That's honestly also something worth talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that like a better strategy?
I don't think it's bad. Throw down 3 space and then just create room to put down hit the unit cap in morsels every turn sort of space. Throw that on a gorger. That's a lot of value.
Yeah, the real issue when you evaluate champions is that you need to keep in mind that you can't give them buffs from shops, right? You look at it's like a 50-30 unit that costs 0 and takes up 0 space effectively. You go, wow, that's pretty sweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you can't buff it. Like a lot of units really hinge on giving it multi-strike, and then in the fight it gets a bunch of rage stacks or something like that. It's much harder to pull something off like that with Penumbra. Although 50 damage, if you're using it as a backline, I guess almost like an off tank, right?
Kinda, yeah.
So you kind of just have it sitting behind the tank, but not your main source of damage, it it'll add up. But
I hear someone.
It doesn't do either role that very well.
Yeah, it does nothing. It's literally just space, and that's okay too, right? I think that Umbra is strong because Architect and Trample Penumbra are both good. I think any faction that has two good choices for their champion is going to be strong, and I think Penumbra is strong in 2 of 3 cases, and I think that the other one is really bad, and you never take it.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else you want to say about Mr. Penumbra?
He's the scariest of the champions by an extreme degree.
Yeah, he's got a lot of arms.
Yeah.
He's also the most common one to not physically fit in the train.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times he just has a limb hanging out.
Yeah, that's true.
Alright, shall we go over to the Umbra commons here?
I concur.
So I guess this is going to be a little weird because there's a lot of morsels to talk about. Do you want to... I've done this in the past. You want to just talk about the morsels first and get that out of the way?
Well, we can talk about Shade Splitter and talk about the morsels, right?
Yeah, why don't we...
Because it is the starting card and it also makes the morsels.
Yeah, it's weird to review these and be like, yeah, let's talk about the morsels as we get to them. I think we should get the morsels out of the way and then go through them all. So we'll talk about Shade Splitter, and by talking about Shade Splitter, we'll just talk about all the morsels, and then we'll go through all the rest. So, Shade Splitter, of course, up first. This is your starter. 1 energy spell. Add a common or uncommon morsel unit to your hand. What is a morsel, Cranberry?
Little bits of shadow, I think.
Yeah.
More or less.
Well, I don't think they're the morsel. I think the morsels are the things they're carrying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the last time I was like, man, they eat these little guys, and everyone is like, no, they don't eat them. The guys are carrying the food for them, you idiot.
I think that's a thing where they eat both, maybe.
Yeah, I think
the glutton units are so hungry they're just give me the whole thing right now.
Yeah, I just eat it all. Mm-hmm. So let's go through the morsels real quick. There's Rubble Morsel here. This is the only common morsel because there's 3 rarities of morsel. There's common, uncommon, and rare. There's 1 common, I think 4 uncommon, and 1 rare.
Mm-hmm.
So Rubble Morsel, all morsels are the same stat line. Not the same stat line, but they have the same 0 energy, take up 1 space. Rubble Morsel, 0 attack, 1 health. When he gets eaten at the end of round, you gain 1 energy next turn. I mean, he's the worst.
Yeah.
He's common, he sucks.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he sucks.
He sucks. All he does is trigger Gorge. That energy is typically worthless.
Yes.
Unless you combo with extra draw next turn somehow.
Shadow Siege.
Yeah, Shadow Siege. Set up a trove of Rubble Morsels on the top floor, and then when you draw Shadow Siege, you drop a Train Steward up there to eat all the morsels. Boom, energy.
There you go.
So we'll go on to the uncommon morsels real quick. There's
Magma Morsel.
You forgot Antumbra Morsel, dude.
Oh, I forgot it. Antumbra Morsel.
Antumbra Morsel. He's the beef morsel. He's 0 attack, 4 health, 0 energy, 1 space. Eaten, eater gains +3 health. That's cool. I mean, it's weird because there's not a whole lot to say about the morsels, I feel like.
Yeah, I think this and Magma are kind of boring compared to the other 2, because the other 2 the effects are better, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a matter of opinion. Well, that's a matter of opinion, I guess, but when you play Shade Splitter or most of the morsel cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you pay 1 energy and you get 2 +0 +3s or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
You play all these cards, you get plus. You spend your entire turn getting +6 HP on a unit. It's not good.
No, it's
usually.
not.
At face value, it really, once you're using Crucible Collector or something, that's where it gets crazy.
So go through them real quick though. They're all 1 space and they're all 0 energy. And you can't add these to your deck in any way other than generating them through one of the morsel generation cards. These are the 3 main rules of morsels you need to know. Magma Morsel, 3 attack, 1 health, gain +3 attack when eaten on the eater. Morsel Excavator, 2 attack, 1 health, eater gains +2 attack and lifesteal 1. Morsel Jeweler, eaten, eater gains +1 health and damage shield 1. And then if we go over to the rare, you'll have Morsel Miner, the big boy, 0 attack, 1 health, eater gains +5 and +5. What a big boy.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't even think the rare morsel is super impactful. It's good. +5 is nice, but when you think about Steel Enhancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 1 cost for +3/+3, and you don't have to deal with the nonsense of A, the morsel surviving the turn that you play it,
Yeah.
and then B, the bonus not happening until the next turn.
Right.
Right? There's and for like the most often you'll see Morsel Miners, but when playing the 2-cost spell that summons him,
Mm-hmm.
you think about that mana or the energy ratio, it's not even like as good as Steel Enhancer.
When you bring that down to 1 energy, it is very worth it. However, I do agree with you, at 2 energy that card is tough. So,
but like, you know, the whole point is that morsels you do not usually play for the effects they give you. You play them for the gorge effects of your units that are eating them.
Indeed. So there's a few things I want to say about morsels. I think there's 2 key points that you really need to hit on with morsels. One, maybe the more important one, probably, you can use morsels to tank for you. So say, oh man, my Penumbra's about to die, you got the 1 space in front of him, he's about to eat like 15 damage right to the face from an enemy. You can throw a morsel down and that morsel will just chump block it for you, right?
Mr. Penumbra, get down!
Get down! He's got a gun! And then you throw the morsel in front of him and he dives in front of the bullet. It's pretty great. But the more important thing to know that isn't necessarily obvious, when a morsel is eaten, it counts as being killed. Now, you may be like, oh yeah, of course, this triggers all harvest effects. So, morsels have 2 main counters in the game, and they're, in my opinion, and they're both in the 4-5-6 range. Master of Light, the guy who sweeps and gains rage on kill because he farms your morsels for rage like crazy. Because morsels get eaten after combat resolves, so anything that sweeps kills them off before they can be eaten. And the tanks, the 2 guys who harvest to gain armor, those guys farm the shit out of you if you play a bunch of morsels. Yeah. And it's gross.
I would say in general, sweep is a weakness for morsels. That guy is definitely a bigger weakness that he harvests and sweeps, but like in general,
there's only I think like 1 other sweep enemy you really need to worry about. Pyre Wings. If you're losing the game because Sower of Sorrow sweeps your morsels, like what happened? Mm-hmm. You had so much time to set up, right? But like having a Pyre Wings kill your morsels kind of sucks, and having a Master of Light farm you for like 20 damage on your pyre because he killed all your morsels is terrible as well. So keep those things in mind. However, this goes both ways. If you're playing with like Wickless Baron, you throw Wickless Baron down in a room, you eat 3 morsels, that dude gets +3/+9. For example, we haven't reviewed that guy, but he's the first harvest unit that comes to mind. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of nuance with morsels. It's like a big mechanic.
And like I alluded to before, I think the lifesteal and damage shield morsels are, I think they're actually maybe stronger than the +5/+5.
That's a hot take.
It is maybe a hot take, but like when you like, you know, your Penumbra, your Trample Penumbra is at 20 HP remaining, and you manage to give him a damage shield or a lifesteal, it can heal him to full.
I will give you my morsel tier list here if you would like to, and then you can tier list them yourself, because I have one in mind.
Okay.
I think that it goes Morsel Excavator, Lifesteal Boy, is equal to Morsel Miner. I think they're similar power level. I think
I can agree to that, I think.
Yeah. I think that situationally, depending on the time, like 1 Lifesteal Morsel can just like save your frontline boy. But if you're using these just to feed Crucible Collector, it really doesn't matter and the raw stats are better. Antumbra Morsel and Magma Morsel are about the same. I think Morsel Jeweler is worse than both of them, and I think that the Energy Morsel is the worst, of course.
I put Morsel Jeweler, I think, above them still, just because it like that damage shield can be life-saving sometimes, definitely not as often.
Yeah, it's usually worth like 6 damage on average, I think, which I don't think is worth it, but you're right, sometimes it is a big deal. There's a lot to go over with morsels. I always feel like I'm forgetting something when we talk about them.
You did mention before how they have a weakness to enemies having harvest. Keep in mind that especially if you are playing something like Melting Remnant, you can have a lot of good synergies with the morsel. Yeah. Generally, when you have that clan combo, that's what you're incentivized to do because there's so much crossover there.
Yeah, there's a lot of harvesting you can do.
Yeah.
A ton of money. There is one other thing, and this is, thank you for saying Melting Remnant. This is the one other thing I wanted to point out as a crossover before I think we can move on from talking about morsels. Melting Remnant's reform mechanic can reform morsels that get eaten, If you have Rector that reforms randomly, you're going to be getting a lot of Morsels back.
Yeah.
That's, I think, all there is to say about Morsels. Overall, like, you won't... It's hard to point out Morsels as a win condition, but they really are. In my opinion, if you take a ton of Morsel generation, your units just start to scale up like crazy. Anything else you would like to say about the Morsels before we return to commons?
No.
Okay. There's a ton, like, half of these commons have to do with Morsels almost, so it's good to just talk about them now and get them out of the way. And then we can skip the Morsels in the future, you know. Alright. Without any further ado, the first card that isn't the starter card, X cost, spell, deal 3x damage to an enemy unit, slay, gain 2 energy, mine, collapse. Would you like to take the lead here?
I think this card is good only because Umbra lacks direct damage spells other than, or like good direct damage spells basically.
Yeah.
And Umbra Assault is also not too bad, but the fact that this like refunds the energy when it kills off a backline is pretty good.
Yeah. Go on.
Oh, that's more or less it.
Okay. All I really want to say about it, this is a great card. I take this a lot of the time. It's, you know, it's a great standard like 3 damage card that pays for itself. If you're playing this for 6 damage, it pays for itself as long as you get the kill. This is great to pick off backline, and it's really good if you throw plus 10 damage on it, because that plus 10 damage will apply even if you play it for 0, so you can use this as a 0 energy, deal 10, and refund 2 energy to you sort of move. Great card.
Yeah.
Similar to Vent, in my opinion, but like not quite the same.
Yeah, definitely like different use case, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, you use both of them to pick off backline, but Mind Collapse you pick off one backliner, and then it gives you its energy back, and Vent just kills them all. But that's it. That's
like I said, I do find I like this less when I'm playing something like Hellhorn, because I'll have torches to take out backlines. Yeah. It has a little less value when you don't have when you do have other options
for sure
to kill them off. But it's still like, you know, it's still even then worth picking probably.
Yeah, it's good for just like, you know, it's free energy as long as you can support it with the draw typically. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. The other X card, you'll notice that Umbra has a ton of X cards. Like they have the most X cards, I'm pretty sure. X costs. Would
not be shocking to me at all.
Yeah, because they have a lot of energy gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
X cost, spell, consume, apply 1x damage shield, Prismal Dust. It's okay.
Yeah, like it's sort of, you know, sometimes this saves your entire run. Sometimes you play this for 1 energy just because you had nothing else better to do that turn.
Yeah, it's a great target for double stack.
I can see that as well.
It becomes 2x instead of 1x. And yeah, I mean, it's alright. You'll be getting this or Packed Morsels, which we'll be talking about most likely or you're most likely to get this or Packed Morsels from the random consume event for picking Umbra.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty much 50-50 on these two because there's 2 consumes here.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like, it's really fine. If you get the X+3 relic, this card is, of course, pretty amazing, but every X card is.
It's a good one, without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, anything else?
No.
Yeah, there's really not much to say about it, right? Damage shield is an underwhelming mechanic, in my opinion. Especially since all the bosses have multi-strike, I think damage shield gets way worse.
I will say that because of multi-strike, it becomes worse, but it's definitely worth considering if you have some sort of setup where... Yeah, if you have a good setup where your floor 1 is taking out backlines pretty well, because then by the time you put it on a floor 2 like frontline unit, or like maybe you didn't get a good tank, so you're just putting someone soft up at floor 2, this will help that unit live a lot longer, because hopefully by then only the tank made it past.
Yeah, hopefully.
And it'll help keep damage off of that unit. But
yeah,
if you already have good tanks, you don't need this.
Yeah, you really don't. And also this has a bit of a counter synergy with lifesteal, by the way. Damage shield as a mechanic, we can talk about this now or later. Lifesteal and damage shield clash.
Mm-hmm.
Because the enemy will hit you, the damage shield will be absorbed, and then your unit will hit, and the lifesteal will heal for 0.
Just to clarify, it'll heal for 0 because you've lost no health.
Yeah, assuming you're at full health.
It's not like some sort of weird thing where
right,
there's a
right.
And it cancels it out.
Good catch, because that would be unclear. That's like assuming you're at full health, the enemy's hitting you with 1 damage shield and 1 lifesteal. But they just neutralize each other.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Up next, Lots of 0 energies, wow. 0 energy spell, apply lifesteal 3 and Ember Drain 2 to a friendly unit. Immortal Trade. This card looks bad.
Yeah, and I understand that there's like an Ember Drain deck where you more or less make all of your cards cost 0. You play Perils of Production to like get some energy, and then you can still play cards more or less. But when you're not in that that dedicated archetype, often what you're doing with Ember Drain is you're putting it on a unit to give them a temporary buff before they A, are a morsel and get eaten, or B, die.
Right.
This prevents the unit from dying because it gives them lifesteal, so it's a little counterintuitive there.
I think that Immortal Trade is very good.
In that specific, pedal to the metal Ember Drain deck, correct?
No, just always.
Just always, okay.
No. Specifically with Trample Penumbra, because this. So you take this early on, right? Let me paint you a little picture. If you take this card in, if you start with this card, let's say, and you have Trample Penumbra. If you put this on Trample Penumbra on the second round of combat on the first 2 fights, Trample Penumbra will single-handedly win the rest of the combat for you with that lifesteal.
That's a good point.
And basically, this card and Trample Penumbra have such insane synergy together. If you play this, and playing this just at 1, you can look at it as paying 2 energy next turn and 1 energy the turn after for it. It's essentially like a 3 energy card that's spread out for a while.
Yeah.
Or, maybe you've lost your mind and you have a way to remove debuffs. Resin removal.
Resin removal.
You can't play a ton of this card, but like playing 1 of this and then eating it, like I'm a big fan of like, and I had a moment today where I was like, hey, Ritual Battle isn't actually too bad here. Similar sort of use case where it's like, well, we're gonna be okay on this turn no matter what. Like it's fine if I play this, so playing this sets me up for the rest of the turn or the rest of next turn. And as a result, I think that this card is good. Anything else you wish to add? Counterpoint?
No counterpoints and stuff. I think that, I still stand by the counterintuitiveness of where you want your Ember Drains to die and this keeps them living, but like the spreading energy over turns argument makes a lot more sense when I think of it that way. My question is 2 and then 1 energy worth 3 lifesteal?
Yeah, I think so. Depending on where you are in the game, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's how I look at it, right? If you take this card and this is a major part of your game plan, in the first 2 combats it wins you the round as long as you have Trample Penumbra, and after that you just take energy, and then it's not that big of a deal at all.
I can see it.
Now the big asterisk, you'll notice you need a big unit for this. Putting 3 lifesteal on a unit who has like 30 attack sucks. And is not worth it. But putting this onto like Penumbra, who's a big heavy hitter with just a bit of a health pool, like just enough health to survive 1 round of combat and then die in the next one, this cancels out that problem and Penumbra just farms for you. And I love it for that.
One thing we should mention that's important with lifesteal is that lifesteal does not trigger if the enemy has armor.
Yes, extremely important. I did not know that until like 2 days ago.
I did not know that until 2 days ago either.
Yeah.
But lifesteal does not trigger if it's hitting armor. Or damage shields, I guess, too, because it does 0 damage then.
You have to hit
how does lifesteal work if the unit it is killed? Let's say you don't have trample. The unit you are killing has very low HP.
Yes.
Does it just heal the damage dealt? So it's like if they have 2 HP, it heals 2?
No, it heals the full amount of your attack no matter what.
Okay, that's good at least.
Yeah. Lifesteal has a lot of nuance. Great, really good premium effect though that I think you can only get as Umbra, right?
I don't know, maybe.
I guess one other thing we can mention real quick, just while we're here, Lifesteal does trigger Rejuvenates from Awoken, or like any on-heal effects. Just there's so much. Like God, there's so much to go on with Umbra here. Up next, I guess we're gonna speed up when we hit these Morsel cards, right? Because we already talked about the Morsels. Unless you have anything else you wish to say about Immortal Trade.
No, I have nothing else.
All right. 0 energy spell, consume, add 3 uncommon or rare morsel units to your hand. Packed morsels. It's good.
Yeah, I'm just realizing we didn't really talk too much about Shade Splitter. Normally we talk about like the actual.
Oh yeah, we didn't.
Starting card first, so maybe we should do that next.
Yeah, sure. And we can do that right now.
But packed morsels so much better than Shade Splitter.
Yeah, like every morsel generation card is better than Shade Splitter by a lot.
Yeah. But this one's pretty good, specifically, like because it creates uncommons or rares, so you don't have to worry about Rebel Morsels. That's like the big thing with it.
That is the big thing.
And it makes 3 for the cost of 0, which is pretty cool.
Yep, single use, you get 3 good morsels. So this card gets better the later you go in the game. The big thing about this is it takes up 3 space, and you're gonna hear this a lot when we talk about morsels. You really, really, really need space as Umbra. Umbra is so space hungry. Because if you're putting down,
it's extremely easy to play this card late game, like late into the fight, and realize that you only have like 2 open spaces.
Yeah.
So it's you have to make sure you have the room on your train to play all your morsels to get the effects from them.
Yeah, plan out, right? Umbra wants space, and you don't necessarily need to take the space upgrade because there are cards that let you get space that we'll be talking about soon. You can see one of them on the screen right now. There's a lot of them. You can handle it. Architect Penumbra also helps. There's a lot of ways around it. Just be mindful of your space when you play this card. Don't play this and then put 3 useless morsel draws into your deck.
How do you feel about removing Consume from this? Because I think it's actually not the worst target, but definitely not super amazing either.
I've never done it. I don't think so.
I think I've done it once, and it works. When you think about it, it's a much better Shade Splitter still, right?
Yeah, it is still, but like if you're really desperate for it, sure. But there's better ways to do this, in my opinion.
Yeah, you generally don't need that many morsels.
Yeah, like generating that many morsels is typically a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to say about pack morsels?
No.
All right. Up next, 0 energy spell. Apply Rage 2 and Ember Drain 2 to a friendly unit. Gain 2 energy. Perils of Production. This card is not good.
Like I said, I think it has a place in that super Ember Drain deck because it lets you get energy when you have none.
Yep.
But it's not a deck that I have much experience with because it's hard to pull off.
Yeah. So read this. What you read this card as is you read this card as apply this to a morsel, gain 2 energy. This card is essentially 0 energy, gain 2 energy. Is that worth it? Nah, not really in this game because you typically are going to just float energy off of this. Mm-hmm. And the alternative, the effect of gaining Rage 2 for Ember Drain 2 is worthless. Pretty much what you use this for in a standard situation is you put this down, you give +4 attack to a morsel, maybe they get a little boost, they put you over a little damage threshold, and then you gain the 2 energy from it to play the rest of your hand out. And in that crazy 0 cost deck where you get the absolute nuts, of course this has a place where everything costs 0, and you use this to I don't even know what. But I
think also it's worth picking this up if you already have Shadow Siege.
Sure.
No joke, it gets you pretty close to being able to play it. Let's say you just played a single Rebel Morsel the turn before, starting off with 4, pumps you up to 6 right away. No energy investment other than that.
Yeah, but that is magical Christmas land.
I wouldn't say that's magical Christmas.
How many things do you need to have go right to get from 3 energy?
2 things. You ate a morsel the last turn, you draw this the same turn you have Shadow Siege.
Yeah, so in your 30 card deck, turn 1, you're not drawing Shadow Siege. So step 1, turn 1, you didn't draw Shadow Siege, which is already hard to do. Step 2, you drew a Shade Splitter, and that Shade Splitter gave you Rebel Morsel. And then step 3 is the next turn you drew both Perils of Production and Shadow Siege.
Both. You just need 1.
You just need Perils of Production and you need Shadow Siege on the next
turn. Yeah. Well, you gave Perils Permafrost.
Ah, okay, yeah. all right.
I'm just saying if you're in a deck that has Shadow Siege and you plan on playing it with energy and not cheating it, this is not a card you should necessarily overlook.
Yeah, but you don't have long to live in that deck anyway.
Yeah, but it's Shadow Siege, dude.
Yeah, but it's Shadow Siege.
Okay.
Perils of Production is one of 5 cards that I've actually never won with in Umbra because I just never take it. I don't think it's good. I
also have not won with it yet, so there is that too.
Yeah, this card's not good. Even in the 0 cost deck, I don't think it's good because you're better off just having all of your cards cost 0.
That's true as well. That is a good point as well because if you can't get there, then it's worth putting in.
Yeah, this is the transition card on your way to the 0 cost deck where you have a bunch of Ember Drain and you still need energy to play some of your cards.
Mm-hmm.
Helps you transition there. Did we talk about Shade Splitter like we said we were going to?
We forgot.
All right, let's do that now.
Okay.
So where do you put it on your tier list?
I hate it because I think the morsel mechanic is so cool and it's so it has so much utility to it where you can use it to have a morsel tank a hit. You can generate gorge triggers and stuff with it. That's all these good things, but just at face value, it's probably the F tier starter card.
Yeah, this is the worst one.
It's so sad.
It's
Because
just
it's the coolest one. It's the coolest starter. It creates a unit for you, and who knows what it'll be.
yeah. And
But it's gonna be Rubble Morsel.
yeah, there's why it's bad. Who knows what it's gonna be? A lot of times you need this to give you lifesteal or damage shield to save your run, and it doesn't, and then you just lose, right? And like, oh, you should have planned further ahead. But like, if you really need a lifesteal and it doesn't hit it, goodbye.
Yeah.
And that's a problem with morsel mechanics in general. However, many morsel cards, such as pack morsel, such as Umbra Assault, such as like most of them, they give you multiple morsels. You have a lot of chances to hit. This gives you one morsel from a bad pool of morsels.
Specifically, they gave you 2 or 3 that are at worst uncommon. So
Yeah.
Rubble Morsel is out of the pool.
Yeah,
Very
Shade Splitter
important.
is not good, but if all your deck cares about is eating morsels and you have not seen any other morsel cards, keep it in. But otherwise, this is like a really, really prime candidate for removal.
Do you still remove this often before Train Stewards?
It depends on the run, really. It's like, oh, I have
Yeah.
the space to throw Train Steward away, sure. Otherwise, nah. Like, I'll remove Train Steward first, because this card is slightly better. One interesting thing that we should say about morsels, I feel like, and the morsel mechanic doesn't play well with other factions, I feel like.
Except for Melting Remnant.
Yeah, except for melting. If you have
Yeah.
harvest, but like, so even in melting remnant, right? If you're not built with like a harvest unit in mind, the morsel
It can
mechanic
ruin you.
Yeah, the morsel mechanic doesn't help you. It's actually actively going to hurt you, typically. And, usually I'll try to, I'll leave in 1 or 2 torches with consume on, or I'll leave in a lot of restores, I'll leave in maybe a consume frozen lance, I'll leave in all the dregs. I have had many runs where I don't commit to morsels, and then you remove them all. Morsel as a mechanic is a mechanic that you either fully commit to, or you remove it completely from your run, in my opinion.
I agree.
I think there's no middle ground with it at all.
Mm-hmm. Just because if you're playing the morsels for the effects that the morsels give you when eaten, if you're trying to do like Hellhorn, right?
Yeah.
Hey, there's already an issue, because if you're trying to give attack buffs to your champion or something like that using morsels, your champion's in the front.
Yeah, and he's dying.
He's gonna get smacked.
March of Shields, dude, this is it.
No,
March of Shields forward so he can eat a morsel.
no.
And then you hold over March of Shields, and then you can just manipulate your positioning so you can eat on the champion. Easy. It's insane.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's real tough to get to work.
I view
And
the
it usually doesn't.
I view the morsel mechanic similar to Awoken Thorned Hollow mechanic, where you just commit to it and it'll win you the game. But
Yeah.
if you don't commit to it, you like completely remove yourself from it, right? Just don't take any regen in Awoken. Or like, not don't take any regen, but like don't full commit to regen, don't full commit to morsels. There's no halfway.
Yeah.
I think this is a common new player mistake, right? Oh, morsels are kind of cool. Ooh, regen's kind of cool. I'll take a little sprinkling of that. You have to commit or you have to cut it out. I think that there's not much room in between.
Yes.
Okay, anything else you want to say about Shade Splitter?
No.
You want to review our tier list so that we can see if the people can figure out where Melting Remnant's dregs are going?
I think you're putting dregs at S tier. I think I'm putting them at B tier.
You're putting them at B tier? Are you insane?
No.
Oh my god.
Maybe I'm putting them at A tier. I put restore over them. I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, I put restore over dregs, and I put torch under. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my tier list is going to be dreg, restore, torch.
Maybe I put Shade Splitter at D tier and then Frozen Lance at F tier. I don't know.
Nah, I think that Frozen Lance is better than Shade Splitter.
It's tough. It's tough.
It's
I think that the issue is that when you do the hard commit to Shade Splitter, or morsels in general, Shade Splitter is a much more useful card than Frozen Lance is in any of the Stygian builds.
Yeah, but the big thing is Shade Splitter. You are better off with just other morsel generation cards.
That is true. That is true. That is the issue. Is
So
that
removing them
you
is
find
good.
better,
By the late
more-
game. All right, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, up next, 0 energy spell, consume +1 space on this floor, Space Prism. What is there to say?
It's makes your train bigger.
Yeah, makes train bigger, more morsels, more units. It's
Yeah.
good.
No matter what strategy you're doing, just having more space in your train is usually pretty good.
Yep.
It's cool. It's cool that the Umbra's Morsels are a built-in way to take advantage of that, no matter what, because you're always going to be generating more and more units.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of decks, in theory, a lot of the other clans, in theory, you could play something like this, where you make more space in your train, but then just not have enough units to fill up the train.
Yeah, so there's a lot of runs where this is worthless with other clans. I think you won't have that problem. Typically, you're just going to use Space Prism on whichever floor your main Gorge unit is on, and you're just going to fill that bitch up with Morsels.
Mm-hmm.
This is maybe one of the only cards in this game that I think is good to put the Remove Consume on, because even at 1 energy, this is a great effect.
So I have a counterpoint to this. Not that I think you're wrong, but I do want to make a comparison. The what's it called? The rare that also gives +1 on the floor.
Crucible Extension.
Right?
2 energy.
2 energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you give that a 1 energy reduction, it's the same card.
It is.
However, that one monetarily costs much less to do.
It's a difference of 70 gold, but my counterpoint is I'll just take both.
That's the thing you can do as well. And then a double counterpoint is that it's much easier to find Space Prism.
Yep. That's the other one. Space Prism's common.
There's both of these to keep in mind.
Yeah.
If you find the other one, whose name I still don't remember, even though I'm pretty sure you just said it.
Crucible Extension.
There you go. Yeah, if you find Crucible Extension, first before Space Prism, do you take Space Prism?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh, okay. You get to a point where you can't. There is a point where you just don't have enough room for Morsels.
Yeah, but
you can't make enough in a turn to fill it.
But that point is far away, and it's not bad. This card removes itself on the draw.
Yeah. You will more often than not be able to reach that point. I think even with 2 of them.
Yeah. Up next, 1 energy spell, deal 3 damage, slay, add 2 uncommon or rare morsel units to your hand. Umbra Assault. It's good.
Do you think it's better than Mind Collapse?
I don't know. They do different things.
Yeah. Well,
it's hard to compare them.
I think Mind Collapse has a much more better endgame use case in that it can kill the 5 HP 15 times 2 units.
Yeah, but like you're probably throwing a +10.
What's that?
I feel like you're gonna throw a +10 on Umbra Assault always, just to be sure that it hits and kills.
Yeah, you're gonna throw a problem then either, right? They have different end results, but they have a similar use case, I think, where you're using it to kill backlines.
Yeah, you take either one.
Benefit, right? Is 2 energy a better benefit than 2 random morsels that are uncommon or rare?
It depends on your build, for sure.
Yes, yeah.
I think that here's my hot take for you. I think it actually doesn't matter because you take either one of these when it's offered, and if you're offered both, dealer's choice. Just take whichever. Like you kind of just, hey, I want to go Morsels on this run. You take Umbra Assault. Hey, I don't think I'm going Morsels on this run. I take Mind Collapse.
Yeah, basically.
That's it, right? That's all there really is to it. The big thing to note with Umbra Assault is that it can be played on your own Morsels as just a 1 energy generate 2 morsel card.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. This card and Mind Collapse are your 2 main ways to pick off backline if you're not doing it through other means, and that's good to have.
It's definitely not the best way, but it is a way, and it's still good.
Yeah, it's good to have that targeted damage for sure. There's only a few enemies that can even show up in the backline that this doesn't kill up until level 7. Anything else you want to say about Mr. Assault?
No.
Alright. Finally in the common pool, 2 energy spell. Add a morsel miner to your hand, the rare morsel, making of a morsel. It's fine.
Every time I see it, I think of the Making of a Murderer documentary. I don't know if you watched it. Oh, you didn't watch it.
No,
you don't watch it.
I don't watch it. Are you crazy?
But that's it. That's my comment on the card.
Yeah, like it's fine. This is a card that needs -1 cost. However, very, very niche thing that I've had happen twice. Keep this at 2 cost if you ever pick up Split Anvil. It makes all your other morsel generation free, probably.
Mm-hmm.
It's good, right?
Like I said, basically, when we talk about this card, you have to talk about the morsel miner, because that's all it does. It makes one, right?
Yep.
And at 2 energy, not the best rate. You really need to be very committed to some sort of gorge mechanic or some sort of morsel build in general. Without that, is it even really super good at 1 cost with the inflexibility of it having to be +5/+5 on the frontline unit?
Nah, probably not. But like usually if I get this, like basically Common cards, as we've talked about, I think that these are the run-defining cards because you're forced to take 2 of these at the start of your run.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're starting with 2 Making of a Morsels, I'm going to fish for one of those Gorge cards for sure. Like, I'm going to aim for that unit draft early. I'm going to look for that Crucible Collector. I'm going to look for that free boss killer for me.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I don't get this, I'm still going to fish for him because he's like probably the strongest unit in this game, hands down. However, you know, getting +5/+5, I think you're honestly underestimating it. Like, so here's the thing. You'll notice...
When we talked about Steel Enhancer, the big thing was that putting it on your back line would get them close to or take them out of, like, sweep or spike range, right?
True.
You can't put this +5/+5 on your back line. It has to be on your front unit.
However,
that's like the big thing.
That is a big thing. However, I think that the +5/+5, the use case for Making of a Morsel is different than the use case for Steel Enhancer. +5/+5 puts your units... Here's how I look at it. This is a really big helper for killing bosses. Even so, just think about it. I'm looking... This is all early game thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Against Discipled Inquisitor, for example, the very first guy, if you give a Trained Steward +5/+5, he does an extra, like, 20 damage to that guy for you. He survives an extra round.
These are logics I can agree with.
And, you know, long term, at 1 energy, this card is cool, and there's not much else to say about it, right? Morsel Miners are good.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a situation where this card hasn't been good for me. Anything else you wish to say about Making of a Morsel?
I've had times where it hasn't been good because when I in a deck where I don't care about it that much.
Yeah, then
like reducing the cost from 2 to 1 is like not great.
Right, sure.
If you are not focused on Morsels.
Yeah, I think honestly my problem is that whenever I get this card, like if they offer me this card and I take it,
I guess like it's like an indicator that like, hey, I should try to make Morsels work for me if I have this.
Yeah.
Because in Morsels it's pretty good. Like giving your Gorge Boy, whichever one has the lifesteal, Crucible, something. Collector. Getting him out of range of being one shot by whatever boss you're fighting is super important.
Yes.
Right, because that's what lets his lifesteal ramp out of control against bosses, right?
Yep.
And +5 HP gets you very close to being able to do that. So in those decks, it's extremely important.
And if you have the spike, which we'll get to later, Morsel Miner is super high value, like super high value. But we'll talk about that when we get to the spike.
Yes.
Closing thoughts on Umbra's commons?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
In general.
Agree. Only like 2 real bad ones.
Yeah.
Well, 1 real bad one in the starter, I should say.
Yes, yeah.
Perils of Production, I think, has very few use cases, and they have the worst starter. And it's honestly, the thing is, I think the starter is the worst because of the high variance only. Like, you know, if this always generates you an uncommon, this card's great.
And it's just lack of like the Morsel's lack of meshing with other clans when you're not like committing to the Morsel deck is an issue.
Yeah, no other clan has a Gorge unit. The closest you get is Harvest. But yeah, their commons are good overall. They have good consume commons as well. Prismal Dust isn't terrible. Good for an X+3. Good to double stack. Pack Morsels is fine. Let's move on to uncommons, unless you have any final thoughts you want to sneak in here.
No final thoughts.
All right.
Steve Avery didn't do it.
I don't know who that is. Making of a Murderer.
That's the main character of Making of a Murderer.
Yeah, I figured.
I think his name is Steve Avery. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, hold on. Let me bring out my encyclopedic knowledge of Netflix documentaries.
Well, I'm looking it up.
All right, I'll get us started while you look that up. You ready?
It's definitely Steve Avery.
All right, it's Steve Avery. Up first, our first uncommon, X cost spell, consume, draw a unit and enhance it with +5 attack and +5 times X attack and -X cost. Prism Retrieval. This is not a good card.
I don't think it's a bad card. I just never get it to work.
Yeah. Well,
right, it's like Channel Song. Right? We like Channel Song.
It's not like Channel Song.
It's sort of like Channel Song.
So
it's worse than Channel Song, definitely. Don't get me wrong. It's not even close to being as good as Channel Song, but it's like it's the same idea, it's just worse. Yeah, it's the worst version of a great card good.
In a world where all of the units in your deck cost 1, this is similar to Channel Song. In a world where you're paying 2 energy to sometimes hit a 1 cost unit, sometimes hit a 2 cost unit, this card feels bad.
Yeah, that's true.
And the +5 or +10 attack is really, really underwhelming. The only good thing Prism Retrieval has going for it is, of course, the X+3 card.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, I will say that I think that if you are a Hellhorned or if you are using the multi-strike lady, whatever animus it was in
Uh-huh.
Awoken, that's not a bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, and you know,
If you're, and you have to, hope that it hits it. But like if you set it up so that way it's the only card you haven't played yet, one cost to give it +5 attack is pretty cool. But that's like a lot of setup for not a lot of payoff.
I mean, while we're here, we may as well mention that if you play this at 3 energy and you draw Shadow Siege, and then the next time you draw Shadow Siege, it only costs you 3 energy, dude. Playable.
That's a worse idea than the one I just had.
Yeah, well, you wanted to go through your fucking.
Oh, good, my Shadow Siege is +15 attack. He's ready to go.
He's gonna beat the shit out of the enemies. No one will survive that 215 attack, and it's only because of Prism Retrieval that he kills everyone.
I don't think it's unrealistic to have no 2-cost units in your deck. That's not super hard to do.
No, it's not, but
And if you're mid to late game, and that is just coincidentally what your deck is, and you see this as a draft pick and there's nothing else good, it doesn't hurt. Also get rid of your Train Stewards too, by the way. Get them out of there.
Get them out of there. For sure.
It's pretty bad if you have Train Stewards still left in your deck.
And I would argue that the biggest problem is that you have to draw this before your units, right? And so unless you have a lot of units, you're probably going to draw your units first, just because of the nature of how you draw cards in this game. It seems like you tend to draw all your units by 3rd turn at least.
Yeah.
So,
usually, yeah.
Yeah, usually. I don't know, I've had no good success with it myself. But it is golden. I just had it as my starting card once.
I also believe I have golded it with having never played it.
Yep.
So, but like, just looking at it, it's not like some sort of trash, unplayable Pyregrow.
I don't know. It's pretty close.
It's not pretty close.
There
is a scenario where this is a good card. This is a scenario where Pyregrow is a good card.
I was thinking about this today. What if you just bought Pyregrow and then speed reduced it to 0 cost by tunneling magic merchants? Then all of a sudden that card is playable.
No.
I don't know. I think Prism Retrieval is basically Pyregrow, but it never hits a curse, which isn't good, in my opinion.
It's not as bad as Pyregrow.
It's not as bad as Pyregrow, but
like I said, there's a literal use case where it's like, okay, this will get me a slightly better version of a unit in my deck if I have A, gotten rid of all my Train Stewards, and B, all of my units cost 1.
I don't know. If you're in a position where that +5 attack is the deal breaker, like if you hit that, then you win.
I'm not saying it'll be like a deal breaker, but it'll just be,
It's a nice little bonus.
Although there is definitely the use case where you do, because all of your units cost 1. I've actually changed my mind now because I've just realized if you have the use case where all of your units only cost 1, you're probably going to just play all of your units out when you get them, and there's a very good chance you will draw this after you have played all of your units.
Yes,
so
that is how.
I'm turning back around on this. I've convinced myself this is a bad card.
It is a bad card, yes.
Still not trash unplayable, but just not a good card. You should probably not pick this.
This is a card I would never pick. This is a card I would only play with if they forced it on me in my uncommon. That's it. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, okay. I'll be there, and then I'll be in that position, and then probably not bad enough to remove though.
No, you don't remove it. You have Shade Splitters to get rid of.
Yeah, exactly.
Up next, unless you have anything else you wish to say about Prism Retrieval.
No, I have nothing else to say.
0 cost spell, consume, add 3 Excavated Ember cards to your discard pile. This is Ember Cache. Excavated Ember is a 0 cost spell that consumes to gain 2 energy and draw 1.
I don't like this spell very much.
You don't?
Not that much.
You have a lot of X cards, it's okay.
Yeah, I guess so. That's a good point. It's scary to play a card that does literally nothing.
Yeah, but think of it like this. It's 1 card out of your deck, and then you reap benefit in probably 4 turns. You get a bunch of free energy. I think it's underwhelming.
I think you need to have X cards already before you take this.
I don't think so.
Really?
I think you can just take this straight up.
I don't know.
Excavated Embers.
I'm not hot on it.
Excavated Embers do counteract Ember Drain as well, so they can maybe get you a clutch return against Fire Wings. And I think it's a why not card, basically. This is a card that you take if there's nothing better, in my opinion, because it doesn't really do anything to you. Like, it's not that big of a negative. It's one missed
Yeah,
card on
it
a
is.
turn.
It is a single missed card.
It's a single missed card, and then you get 3 big hits later on. It's not bad, but most of the time I end up just floating energy off of these excavated numbers. But sometimes, freeze a strong X card and trigger it for like 10 turns, and that just wins you Seraph fights sometimes.
I think if you have one of the relics that gives you a good benefit from playing consume as well.
Yeah,
I think
for
it's
sure.
a lot better too, because the excavated embers also all consume.
Yep.
It's pretty nice then. Like, I think then, in my opinion, then it's like an auto include. And for me personally, I still probably won't take this unless I have at least one good X card in my deck.
You're allowed.
I don't know. It's still a little scary.
I think it's fine. Like, I think it's a take if nothing's better, but Up next, unless you wish to talk more about Ember Cache.
I do not.
Okay. 0 cost spell. Trigger feeding on morsel units. Feast.
Some of the best art in the game, just because of how it's just the maw.
It is a mess.
It's cool. I don't find it to be that useful though.
This is the card that you are basically forced to take if you have no way to deal with, like if you have really low space and you need to gorge a lot of units, but otherwise, yeah, this is like a pass typically.
Yeah, like it can save you if it's like, oh man, I need to give my my Crucible Collector lifesteal now so he doesn't die, and that's like a good thing. But
if you find yourself in that position, something went wrong, most likely.
Yeah, basically.
I basically just look at this as a space saver, and like maybe consider this if you're going against the fel that always spawns the sweep Rage Boy. I think it is the multi-strike Rage fel that does that. But like, nah, it's not that great. It's okay. Anything else?
Good art.
Good art.
Maybe Q to start in the game. It's tough.
I don't know. Have you seen I don't know who I'm gonna call out.
Cannibalize?
That's kind of rude.
Okay.
I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that card's art. It's very uncomfortable. Up next, 0 energy spell. Apply damage shield 2, rage 6, and ember drain 3. Void binding. It's a weird one.
Yeah, you like the other one, the lifesteal one. How do you feel about this one?
This one is too expensive. Ember drain 3 is too much to have a regular use case.
Yeah.
However,
but like I said, there is that mythical heavy Ember Drain deck where all of your cards cost 0, and in that, this one's a pretty good value.
Yeah, for sure. This is a card that you can maybe take. So yeah, in that deck, if you get the X5 on this thing, like the event that multiplies a card 5 times, and you multiply this thing 5 times, that is so much damage shield in your deck.
Yeah.
And a lot of rage. The rage 6 is not negligible. Yeah. Ritual of battle, eat your goddamn heart out, you piece of shit.
I will say though that outside of those decks though, it is that counterintuitive element where it's like, oh, I want my Ember Drain unit to die so I stop losing all my energy. Damage shield, please stop saving my unit.
Yeah. I don't know.
So it's a weird one.
It is a weird one. I don't have I still haven't go on.
Sorry. One thing we forgot to say is that like these Ember Drain cards are very often pretty good. Not amazing, but not the worst targets for permafrost if you intend on saving them for the relentless fights.
Yes.
Because your unit either dies or the boss dies.
Yep.
So then it's not too bad.
Yeah, in relentless combats these are better for sure. But I haven't had the run where this one works, so I can't really speak to it. But I know that there is a run where this one works and it goes insane, right? If you like hold over this and throw it on Trample Penumbra like 15 times, he'll kill everything probably. But it's hard to get there, I think. Up next, agree. Unless.
Oh no, I said I agree.
All right. Up next, 1 energy spell, Sacrifice. Add 3 random, uncommon, or rare morsel units to your hand. Cannibalize. Didn't we already talk about Umbra Assault?
Yeah, right. We said how Umbra Assault can be basically a slightly worse Cannibalize.
Yeah.
You can use it on your own morsels.
Yeah, they're similar cards when you use them in that context. This card is fine, right? You use this on a morsel, you give yourself 3 new morsels, right? Oh man, my Shade Splitter gave me energy morsel, then you just eat him for being a piece of shit.
Yeah, but it's still not the best morsel generation, but it's still much better than Shade Splitter, and also you can use it with Shade Splitter to consume your rebel morsels. So
Yeah, and I think that this is a if you're going for the morsel mechanic, if you're going for Gorge, this is a quality morsel generator to take. And I think one of the best use cases for this, in my opinion, is, throw down your Architect Penumbra and then just eat him for 3 morsels and get him out of there. If he's not your
getting
major
him to
plan.
clear the space is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it. This card's good. If you're going Gorge, take it. Pretty much. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Alright. Up next, oh baby, he's here. The big Chonk Lord himself. 1 energy, 20 attack, 20 health, Gorge, gain lifesteal 1, 2 capacity. Crucible Collector.
He is so unassuming, right?
Right?
Like, look at him. He looks like just like a big old slug.
I thought for the first 50 hours of gameplay this guy sucked. I never even took him.
Really?
Yeah, I never took him. I always thought, oh, damage shield one's way better. This guy is the best unit in this game.
I felt so bad for Crucible Warden because I think like on my first or second win for Umbra, I won using him, and I was like, "This guy's so good." Oh, look, it's his brother, Crucible Warden. Let's see if we can get him to work. And he would never work. I still don't have him golden.
Really?
Crucible Warden for me is silver because I always just see Collector instead. I'm like, "Oh, Collector, hell yeah!"
I had the opposite situation. Basically, I was like, "Oh, Crucible Warden." I had one of my first very strong runs. I actually went to the Discord and posted about this. Hey, I think that Umbra's maybe not so bad. I took Crucible Warden, slapped him down in front of a Wickless Baron, and Wickless Baron just farmed all those gorges while Crucible Warden tanked for him. It was great. And then one day, Crucible Collector, oops, I took him. Let's see how he does. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So,
literally will never die in relentless
Yeah.
fights. Like,
So-
he is just the tank of all tanks.
yeah. Let's talk about it, right? If you haven't seen him and you're like, oh, I don't get it, what are these idiots talking about? Let's walk him through it real quick. Crucible Collector, 20 attack, 20 health. He wants a little more attack, he wants a little more health. He's a great target for large stone.
He needs a little more health. I'll even go.
Yeah, he needs a little more health for sure.
Required.
But it's not
At least 15 more.
It's not, yeah, like giving him plus 25 is probably enough, but you stick this guy in your top floor. You fill this man up with morsels. You give this guy so many morsels. He gets up to 20, 25 stacks of lifesteal. In relentless combat, he can't die. He literally cannot die, because as long as he isn't one shot in a round of combat, he will heal it all back from his lifesteal. That's how it works.
Not literally all of it. Like if they are doing more damage and he's dealing back, or if the enemy has armor, like we mentioned before, you won't lifesteal. But
typically, I find that he has more attack than health for me because he eats so many damage morsels because I make sure he eats them.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy's great. He's so good. He single-handedly carries like so many runs. He will 1v1 Seraph at like probably, if you feed this guy like, I don't know, 20 morsels, he'll probably 1v1 Seraph for you.
Important to note that this has the same issue that Awoken's tanks in general have, where they're not outputting a lot of damage, so it's very easy for units to walk past them.
Yes.
It's why you very often will see people set up Collector on like the 3rd floor and just throw morsels at him, and then like have a more unit-focused plan on the 1st and 2nd floor.
Yeah.
Which is a good strategy, but if you don't do that, if you're like, oh, my Crucible Collector will save me from these Gilded Wings, he won't.
No, he won't. This is why level 3 trample on Penumbra is good, because level 3 trample on Penumbra can handle he knocks them down he knocks like Gilded Wings down to like 20 health, and then Crucible Collector just cleans them up for you, for example. But yeah, he's so good. Take this guy if you're not, like, don't sleep on him. Feed him, he solos bosses easily.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about our boy?
Cutest card art?
Just gonna say that about every card now?
I might mention it once or twice.
Alright, I'm thinking Ember Cache might be the cutest card art, to be honest.
What about Shadow Eater, though?
Maybe. I actually forgot that guy's name was Shadow Eater. Thought it was Shadow Gorger for sure. Alright, now that we've talked about the good one, let's talk about the other one. 1 energy, 20 attack, 10 health, Gorge, gain damage, shield 1, 2 space, Crucible Warden.
The stats are wrong. They should have reversed it.
Yeah, are they? I don't know.
I mean, they shouldn't have, because then like it would be tougher for me to win. But like, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I think it's very strange that they gave the worst one the worst stats.
Yeah, well, theoretically, this guy never gets hit if you gorge enough. Like, he's okay, don't get me wrong. He's just not as good as the other boy.
But also the issue is the nature of bosses in this game, where they hit 2 and then 3 times at the end of the game. Like, right? It's just it peels off damage shield too quickly. You can't make enough morsels.
Yeah, you need like 3 times as much damage shield to equate to the other guy, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's much easier to do it with Collector.
Yeah. Crucible Warden can work. I have, like I said, he was fine in my run with Wickless Baron, though to be fair, I was on Lower Covenant. He's not as good as Crucible Collector. That's all.
Yeah.
Anything
You can
else?
like if you get him first, you can take him and then just hope that you get Collector
And then
later.
you can throw this one away.
More or less, yeah.
Cutest card art?
Nah,
Nah.
not even close.
All right.
What's he doing with those keys? What is
He's,
he, is he a janitor? Come on.
he's probably gonna unlock something.
I doubt it.
Probably
I
not.
don't think he has thumbs.
Yeah, he's got a lot of hands though. He can probably work it out.
Okay.
All right. 1 energy, 0 attack, 20 health, 4 space. What? +2 ember per turn. Ember Forge.
I have to beat Seraph with this card. I have to do it. I saw this and I was like, I'm gonna one day, not anytime. I probably never actually, but I have to kill Seraph with
That
Ember
would be
Forge.
a great video to just like over edit to hell.
Mhm.
But
There's tons of zoom ins on Ember Forge. What is Ember Forge's attack animation? Is it just like body check?
I don't know, probably.
Like, what does it do?
Probably it just body checks. Yeah, this would be a good one to like hit the Attack on Titan music on, and then just like have it smack Seraph straight out of the world, and then do like a game like Smash Ultimate.
Oh yeah.
That'd be pretty good. This card's not good.
Yeah, it's too well, okay, so let's do some modifications. How do we make this card good, right? Because right now it's more or less unplayable. Takes up like an entire floor, more or less, right?
From the game.
For 2 energy. How do you make the stats on this worthwhile?
You can't, honestly.
You can. There's a way to do it, right?
Okay.
So think about the wilting sapwood guy, right?
Yeah.
That's like a similar role that this wants to fill. It's just much worse at that role because the stats on it are worse. It takes up more space, and it probably gives you less energy overall. Because it's 20 HP. It's meant to take a couple hits.
So the comparison to Wilting Sapwood is interesting. However, I want to point out something that I think makes these cards not comparable.
Wilting sapwood is much better.
Well, yeah, but this is gonna sound a little reductive. Wilting Sapwood is an Awoken, and Ember Forge is an Umbra. Umbra is so space hungry.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Penumbra takes up a floor on his own, and then you need another plan on the second floor, and then you need like your cleanup plan on the third floor. Where do you put Ember Forge? You can't.
You put him in the pyre.
Honestly, you put Ember Forge on the side of the road, and you say, "All right, everyone, we're taking a quick break," and then you take off before he gets back on the train.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. It's really hard to fit this.
It's more. I think it's just an unplayable card.
I've had runs where it's like, okay, my AoE plan is fine on the first floor, and I'm like, everything dies on the second floor, right? And in those situations, then you can sneak Ember Forge in on the top floor. But it's hard, and the benefit isn't great.
Utility unit. It takes up 4 space.
Yeah, I think the other really important thing to note about this is this card also gets way worse past Covenant 20, because that random room size down means that you always want to put this in the 4-space room in the early game, which is hard to do when the 4-space room is the bottom room, for example.
Yeah.
It struggles.
So much.
So much.
But one day I will kill Seraph with Ember Forge.
There's one other thing I wanted to point out about this thing as well. One thing that would almost redeem it, but unfortunately does not. Ember Forge's energy gain triggers before Ember Drain is applied.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I think that's one thing you can do to make this card better, maybe almost playable in some situations. Make this counteract Ember Drain in a sense. But
what if the size was reduced to 3?
Maybe then, because you could fit a 2-space unit in front.
Honestly, for me, you're gonna have to reduce it to 2, I think, to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, but like then you probably just take the energy on it down to 1 instead of 2 per turn, and it's like, is this even? Honestly, that's what I would do. 2-space, 1 energy per turn.
I can see that being usable,
playable.
Yeah,
it's so hard.
Then stack HP on it and use it as a tank.
Yeah,
more or less.
It's just
like
so hard.
Utility tank.
We're so space hungry as Umbra. And especially, look at the next card. Man, I haven't looked at these cards side by side before. Look at these two cards next to each other. Engine Upgrade versus Ember Forge. Holy shit, Engine Upgrade beats the shit out of it, right?
Yeah, it's sad.
I never even put this together. Let's move on to Engine Upgrade and talk about how much better it is than Ember Forge. 1 energy spell, consume, -1 space on this floor, +1 energy per turn for the rest of battle. Engine Upgrade.
I don't even think Engine Upgrade is that good, but it is definitely way better. I think it's still good, but it's just unbelievably better than Ember Forge.
I think Engine Upgrade is an auto take for me. I'll always take one of this card. It counteracts having to take the energy relic pretty much for the entire game.
We might have mentioned this in the Hellhorn video when I talked about, because I think I mentioned sketches of Salvation once or twice during that when we talked about Consumer of Crowns. But an important mechanic to note is when you go over room capacity, which is strange to have happen, but it can definitely happen sometimes. We probably actually mentioned this, but just to make sure, an important thing about the game is that if you go over room capacity, nothing bad happens to you.
Yes.
It's not like your units get crushed and one of them dies.
Yeah, that would be
if you, for whatever reason, go over room capacity, it is not a big deal.
Right.
And you very often you move units around to abuse that mechanic by moving them in a room that they normally wouldn't fit in. You can, if you have a room already set up and you have no intention at any point of putting more units in that room, you can just play Engine Upgrade on that room and make it smaller.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you put Ember Forge down in the 4-space room, and then you Engine Upgrade that room down to 3-space.
Exactly.
Easy.
Now you're making money.
Typically, I take this card and I just throw it on whatever room my Trample Penumbra is in, and let Trample Penumbra go buck wild. That's it. This card's good. Free energy. It's not that bad of an effect. You usually have 1 space to spare. If you're using all of your space on every floor, you're probably secondary as Melting Remnant, in which case you probably don't want to take this.
Yeah.
But
Remnant doesn't need much energy because their dregs cost 0.
yeah, and they need the space because their dregs cost you space instead of energy. And yeah, that's all there was really to say about it. I think it's a good card typically. Anything else you wish to add?
No.
Alright. 1 energy, 10 attack, 10 health, 1 space. When you summon a Morsel unit on this floor, create a copy. Morsel Master.
I mean, it's cool if you, because it only takes up 1 space. It's pretty cool if you are using this to make more morsels behind your Crucible.
Yes.
And you are short on morsel generation, because it does double that.
Yeah. Typically, though, because you create morsels in sets of 2 or 3 on most of your cards that you're creating morsels with, I think Morsel Master is bad. Even so, say you have 7 space in a room, right? So you have a space prism, you got to 7 space, however you did it, right?
Yeah.
Your Crucible Collector goes in front, your Morsel Master goes in back. That's 3 space taken up. You play, I don't know, let's say packed morsels. You only get to play 2 of those 3 morsels that you played onto your Crucible Collector.
Yes.
In this world, and that's in a really good case where you have a lot of space given up. In most cases, I think Morsel Master is more trouble than he's worth. The only combo I really find that's good with him is throwing him down with Morsel Maker. I think that's pretty good.
I do think Morsel Maker in general is just better because you can just set it and forget it, right?
Yep.
You can put Morsel Maker and whatever unit you're, whether it's Crucible Collector or maybe it's the rare unit that eats Overgorger. If you're doing something like that, you can just put it there, just focus on your other floors for the rest of the fight.
Yeah.
But I don't think Morsel Master is terrible. I think if you are struggling to get good morsel production and you're already at I don't know, floor 4 or 5, and you see this, it's whatever, I'll take it, I guess. It'll help. I didn't get any other cards to make morsels.
Yeah.
So I need more.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in that situation it's fine, if you've really been whiffing all game, but for the most part I think you won't need to.
You usually won't.
Up next, unless you have anything else you wish to add.
I also should note, it does have 10 attack, right?
Yeah, it does have 10 attack.
If you do end up in that scenario where you're putting it behind your Crucible Collector, it's doing some more damage. It's contributing to those relentless fights.
It does it does chip in.
Yeah.
Unlike
whereas Morsel Maker itself has no attack.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a benefit.
It's like a small benefit early on that falls off as you go. 10 damage is a lot
Yeah.
early on and nothing later.
Hmm.
Up next, 2 energy, 25 attack, 25 health, inert, multi-strike 1, gorge, gain fuel 1, 2 space, alloyed construct. This guy's got a lot going on. We got some mechanics to explain because he's the only unit in the game like this.
Yeah.
So the inert mechanic means that he is not allowed to attack unless he has fuel. He gains fuel by gorging. Fuel takes down every turn, regardless of if he went into combat or not.
Hmm.
So basically, you give this guy 3 fuel, and there's an enemy that enters on the bottom floor. The enemy moves up, he goes down to 2 fuel. The enemy moves up to his floor, it goes down to 1 fuel. He gets 1 round, and then he's out of fuel. He doesn't do anything. Big downside, however, if you keep him fueled, he is a 25 times 2 with 25 health. He's good.
Yeah, it's important to keep in mind he also does cost 2 energy. Right?
Yeah.
So if you have Morsel Maker in your deck as well, it's very easy to get both these in the same turn, and you now have to choose to play one of them and not the other.
Unless you played Ember Forge on the turn before.
No.
Card's insane. It's going nuts.
I think that if you have Morsel Maker, honestly, probably don't take this because you're gonna want to play Morsel Maker first, way more often than Alloyed, and then you have to play through your entire deck to get Alloyed out, and it's just a mess.
I disagree. I think that you take both of these together. My personal take is you put Alloyed on the top floor with Morsel Maker, and you let him be your cleanup crew. Anything that sneaks by gets shut down by him pretty heavily.
But your Crucible Collector wants Morsel Maker.
I don't think your Crucible Collector wants Morsel Maker.
He needs it.
I honestly think that he doesn't want it. I don't.
No,
usually...
you are right because there's the fact that he has multi-strike means that he's getting double the effect from that Magma Morsel that the Morsel Maker is guaranteed to make every turn.
Yeah, and basically you can take a bunch of Morsel generation as well as Morsel Maker, and then just slap Morsel Maker in the Alloyed Construct room and forget it, and then put all of your generated morsels down with your other Gorge unit. You can support 2 Gorge units pretty easily.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I've also had times where I've used Alloyed Construct as like more like a tank. I've given him like a large stone.
Yeah, he's good with
and
large
then
stone.
had him be like that mythical actual Gorge DPS / tank unit, and it kind of works.
He's
still a little squishy, but like, it's pretty good.
He's the only one that can really fit in that DPS and tank. Like if you give this guy enough fuel, he can actually take down some bosses with a large stone and a little help.
Mm-hmm.
He's not bad. Like he's a good pickup. If you're early on and you get offered this guy, you can take him, and he can be your like, yeah, this is my guy. I'm gonna stake myself on. However, in the early game, he does struggle when your only real morsel generation is Shade Splitter. That's a bit of a tough time. Anything else you want to say about him?
I still just want to point out the 2 energy. I don't know why, but for some reason when I play it just feels like the 2 energy on him is more of a deal breaker. Maybe it's just because that it's hard to put out morsels in the same turn as you play them.
It is.
Maybe that's why I have trouble with it. But just be careful about that. It's trickier than it looks for him.
It is. That 2 energy is a good thing to point out. I have something else I want to say. You know how we point out, there's 2 types of every single unit? Right? There's more like Morsel Maker, Morsel Master.
Yeah, Crucible. There is no other construct, huh?
I'm gonna argue. Is it Ember Forge?
Oh no.
Is he Ember Forge?
He does have a little oven in his chest. I think they're brothers.
I think they're brothers. Same construct tag.
Okay. You're right.
Yep.
You know what's sad? You know what's really sad?
What's that?
I have Ember Forge Gold, and I don't have Alloyed Construct Gold.
Oh no. I have them both gold, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't have to suffer that shame.
Yeah.
All right. Up next.
One last thing. We should mention, because of inert, very importantly, no matter what, he cannot attack on the first turn.
Right. True. Unless you have Gorge.
Feed.
Right? Trigger feed.
Yeah. That one. Yeah.
That's a good thing to point out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, 2 energy spell to send friendly and enemy units on this floor. Haven. It's all right.
Yeah, I'm always scared of cave-in because like it's very scary when you stack a lot of enemy units on the same floor because they attack first.
I think honestly your best use case for this. I've had success with this one time. You probably know the run.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing it. Yeah, the one that I'm sure you're gonna upload to YouTube sometime soon.
Oh yeah, for sure. That run will be on its way, hopefully before this video is out, actually. This card is used to put very large boys in the same room. You put something big in a room with something else big, you exceed that capacity and they just tear shit up. Or you use this, the other way I've used this is you use this to just like drop in some morsels on a full room. So your Penumbra's struggling on the bottom floor, but he took up all the space because he's 5 trample, or like 5 space. So you just put morsels on the floor above him and then drop him in with cave in. That's it.
I think there's a third use case for it.
Okay.
And maybe it's a little bit win more. But if you're doing a good job of keeping units from getting to the 3rd floor, you can just stack up a bunch of like, morsels or whatever on the 3rd floor and just drop them down to the 2nd floor as like extra beyond the room capacity.
Okay. Welcome to Magical Christmas Land. I just had my Magical Christmas Land moment. Are you ready?
I mean, you had it last night or 2 days ago or whenever you did that.
I've got a better one than that one, I think.
I doubt it. That one was pretty Magical Christmas Land.
So, in this Magical Christmas Land, you have Cave In with Holdover, and you have the Ascend card with Permafrost on it, okay? Any Ascend card will work, right?
Okay.
You cave in every single turn on the 2nd floor, so that enemies never... Oh, wait, this doesn't work because they don't want you to put more than 7 enemies in a room. Never mind.
Yeah.
My crazy idea was just to cave in all of the enemies into one room and then ascend the boss and have it kill all the enemies for you.
That'd be pretty funny. Do you think that's why that mechanic exists?
Maybe, and that's really lame because how often do you actually get that to happen?
I mean, that is like the one way you would do it, huh?
That's the only way I've ever thought of this. And think about how fucking cool that would be if you got to do that. Okay,
here's my Magical Christmas Land for you. Ready?
Okay.
So it's gonna be Cave In Holdover again. We're gonna need the 3 spell slots as well. I think for this.
Okay, 3 spell slots.
I think we need to reduce Cave In to 0, okay. Right? Cave In cost 0, Holdover, Inferno.
Yeah, I was thinking that
also
too.
Holdover.
I had the same thought.
Constantly keep stacking them on the same floor, just blasting them with Inferno over and over again.
Yeah, and they'll never stack up on you.
And honestly, that's not that ridiculous.
No.
And then honestly, just to win, just have your Crucible collector on 3rd floor.
Yeah,
with Morsel Maker.
Yeah, I didn't really set up a plan to kill the boss. I was just gonna kill all the enemies and then quit the run.
Oh, okay.
All right. Up next, 2 energy spell, +1 space on this floor. Crucible extension. This card's good. That's it.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I like it a little more than Space Prism, just because all you need to do is reduce the cost by 1 and it becomes an amazing card. At 2 costs, I don't like it that much.
You're welcome to do that. I think that this card and Space Prism can't be compared because this card is uncommon and Space Prism is common. I'll take both and I'll be happy with either one. They're both really good. Being able to make more space for morsels is really, really important to the morsel strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. Take this card. Take one of them.
But we gotta make them fight though.
All right. I mean, if
you have to choose a better one.
Yeah, I mean, if I have to choose a better one, Crucible Extension's better, hands down. Like, it's not close. The only reason that Space Prism has any merit is because it's common, so you see it more often.
Yeah.
And Crucible Extension is very thirsty for a 1 energy cost reduction, but that's very easy to swing.
Yeah.
Anything else you wish to say about Mr. Extension?
Why is the morsel in his art so much fatter than the other Shadow Boys?
I mean, they're all pretty circular. It's just camera.
He is a perfect circle.
He's quite circular.
He looks like Bombo.
You can do a Bombo skip with this guy.
Look, he's even in the cage.
He's in the cage.
You have to use it to get out.
He's gonna speedrun. New world record. That guy. Up next, 2 energy spell. Apply damage shield 1. Add 2 uncommon or rare morsel units to your hand. Grovel.
Man, I just realized that Umbra really wants 1 cost reductions, huh?
Yep. Or Ember Forge.
Try quite a few of them.
You know, you can counteract that need for 1 cost reductions with engine upgrade as well.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Grovel, this card could read add 2 uncommon or rare morsel units to your hand, and I would probably still take it. Like the damage shield 1 doesn't matter to me.
I like the damage shield element too.
Occasionally it's nice, you throw this on your backline boy to save him a hit or 2, but for the most part you just play this for the morsels. And it's good, right? Morsel generation is morsel generation.
Mm-hmm.
This card's fine.
Yeah.
That's all I really have to say about it, honestly. Anything you wish to add? No? Alright. Honestly, it's funny because I feel like we've already talked about Morsel Maker pretty much as we need to. 2 energy, 0 attack, 10 health, resolve, summon Antumbra Morsel and Magma Morsel in this room, 1 space, Morsel Maker.
It's just the most efficient morsel generation.
Yeah.
You pay 2 energy, you're gonna get like probably 10 morsels out of it.
The big thing is these morsels are not good.
Yeah, but you're in this situation. You're playing it because you want the gorge effect.
Yeah,
You want the consistent gorging. You don't
you
care too much
basically
about the bonus.
use Morsel Maker just to trigger Gorge on a unit that you want to keep. Basically, I only really take this for Allied Construct or Overgorger. That's pretty much it. I don't take this for Crucible Warden or anyone else because I think that the quality of morsels they get is more important than the quantity. Overgorger, Allied Construct, they want quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing I think is important to note is that since it is a resolve effect and not an end of turn effect, if you play this guy on the top 4, he does not summon morsels on your first round.
If you are at C20.
Yeah,
right?
at Covenant 20.
Or yeah, where's Covenant 20? The
Covenant 10 actually. Covenant 20 is the
Covenant
space
10.
removal.
Okay, I forgot which one was which.
The other thing I wanted to say about this guy, what was it? Hang on.
I think he looks cooler than Morsel Master. Morsel Master's got that dumbass hood where it's like a big star.
Yeah, Morsel Master looks strange.
Morsel Maker looks scary, like he's like some sort of like Grim Reaper.
He is the Grim Reaper of morsels.
I don't think he doesn't kill the morsels. The other guy eats the morsels. He just brings them.
Yeah, he creates them and he puts them on a silver platter to be eaten.
You know, I'm actually convinced that the morsel units do get eaten whole.
Yeah, they do.
Because of the fact, yeah, because they're not just eating the gem because death triggers still activate. It's not like the rock was alive.
Yeah, no, I mean, wait until you see the card art for Wretch, you're gonna go, absolutely, they're getting eaten.
Yeah.
If I remember what I wanted to say about Morsel Maker, we'll come back to it. For now, let's move on to Mr. Shadow Eater. 2 energy, 0 attack, 50 health, 3 space, gorge, restore 5 health, deal 5 damage to enemy units. Shadow Eater. He sucks.
I know you don't like him. I don't like him either.
I want to like him because he does the AoE damage, right? He's the deal 5 damage. He kills the backline for you.
He does AoE damage, kills the backline, and his stats are pretty good. Same issue with Allied Construct where he costs 2 though. It's hard to the turn you play him. It's hard to put morsels out there behind him.
I agree.
And then the gorge ability does not. The issue is that the other gorge tanks, aka the Crucible boys, do a much better job on those relentless rounds.
Yeah.
And even Allied Construct does way more damage on those relentless rounds too, which is where Shadow Eater is trash.
Yeah, so we can't look at... Shadow Eater is not your boss killer. Shadow Eater is the pickup for backline killing. However, I think Shadow Eater's biggest problem is he gets outclassed, right? There are better options to kill backline than this guy.
I think the fact that you love Trample Penumbra so much is an indicator of why you never play this, because Trample Penumbra can kill that front line and then also often ruin the backline too, basically.
It's not often. Trample Penumbra does need help to kill the backline. He is statted just so that he doesn't punch through everything for you. But
you can set up Penumbra on first floor, the backline killers on second floor, and then your big eater man on the third floor. So you don't need Shadow Eater in that strategy.
Yeah, I would argue you want to put your backline killers on the bottom floor, but that's semantics. Shadow Eater, I want to give him another shot. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that this guy, he has potential, but I think that there's usually better ways to do it. I think all they really need to do to make him much more playable is make him 1 energy. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big buff, though.
Yeah, but, he's unplayable.
Yeah, he also takes up 3 space.
Yeah, I don't know. Shadow Eater, I think he has potential, but as it sits, he underperforms for killing heavies, he underperforms for facing bosses, and he's okay for killing backliners, I suppose.
I'd argue he's good at killing backlines as long as you don't have to worry about what is it? Is it Seraph of the Chase that has Embercleave, right?
Yeah.
Because the Embercleave will ruin your units before you can gorge.
Yeah, he's a backline unit that has a specific set of circumstances where he doesn't get to kill the backline. In those circumstances, if you don't see them, no big deal. But if you see them, you're going to be real sad. I remember what I want to say about Morsel Maker, by the way. I got there.
Yeah.
Morsel Maker in the relentless combats will not continuously generate morsels. He generates 1 at the end of the first... he doesn't generate any at the end of relentless combats.
Yeah, he does not keep up that. Oh my god!
Can you imagine?
That would just be an instant win.
Yeah, every time, because you would just outscale everything.
Yeah, you'd be gaining 2 lifesteal every turn and then losing 1, and then that'd be stupid.
Wait, no, he. Oh yeah, for Crucible. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
he doesn't do that. Just to be clear. Next
Oh my God.
page, if we shall.
Yeah.
Weird cards here. 4 cost. Spell. Deal 20 damage to a random enemy unit 4 times, and on Slay, gain 2 energy. Excavation Eruption. I like this card a lot.
Yeah, it can be tough to play.
Yep. You need to cost reduce this thing, probably.
Cost reduce or take an energy enhancement.
Ember Forge.
Losses. No.
Think about it.
But the fact that you can play this and it will almost definitely kill at least one backline unit and then let you play other cards afterwards is cool. Right?
Yeah.
Like there is like I guess a small chance that you do whiff and nothing dies and you play this and then you feel really bad because you were planning on playing other cards afterwards. But it's sort of that same logic with Mind Collapse, where you play this and then you are going to play other cards afterwards, basically.
Yeah, typically. I mean, yeah, you more or less covered it. There's not much more to say about it, right? I don't have anything to add.
How do you feel about this card with Stygian?
I don't.
It's 80 damage, or it's 80 damage, right? Remember we talked about spell weakness and we needed 80 to 100 damage.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think Umbra has a better option than this, but like I guess if you really need it, you can take this, right? It's fine. This is more of, honestly, this is a card that kills backline, but the big question mark, and you know, one of the big things that I'm driving home here, this is variant. Sometimes this won't kill backline for you, and that, like, you know, there's like, this is a card that opens you up to those like 1 in 216 situations where it's like, oh, I lost 4 coin flips in a row and now I'm just fucked, right? 4 coin flips isn't 216, that's like, you know, numbers. Sorry, I'm doing probability off the top of my head, it's not good. That's like losing a 1 in 4 times.
A coin flip is 1 and 2.
Yeah. 216 is like, you know, that's 1 in 6. That's missing a 1 in 6 3 times. Yeah. I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Excavation Eruption is good usually, but just be wary of that like one time where this card misses and you die and you just go, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah.
Also, you know, we mentioned it on Ice Tornado. This card is worse against Daedalus, Fel, and Seraph because it can hit them.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you wish to add?
No.
I do. Cool art.
Yeah, it's pretty cool art.
I like it a lot. They got the little morsels raining down.
Yeah, there's little morsels raining down from the explosion.
Really, really nice art. Up next, 4 energy spell. Apply damage shield 1 to all friendly units. Add 3 uncommon or rare morsel units to your hand. Didn't we review this card already?
Yeah, it was smaller though.
Yeah. You know, if you can take this card and play it, it's good, and if you can't, it's bad.
Yeah, if you're playing, for some reason, if you're playing this card in a deck that does not want morsels, I don't know what you've done. But
What happened?
Honestly, applying damage shield to all friendly units isn't the weakest effect ever, especially if you're really worried about your backline getting swept. That's like the use case for this, is that you have like, you know, you're some sort of Stygian build and you have like a totem, Tethys, and something else behind your hot shark, and they're about to get swept. You can put this down and it saves all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But so it's not a.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. It costs 4. How are you gonna play it, right?
Yeah, it doesn't even benefit from the conduit version of Tethys either because it's not a damage spell.
Yeah.
This card, again, you know, I said about the last one, I'll say about this one. This could read, add 3 uncommon or rare morsel units to your hand, and there are situations where I would take it without the damage shield. The damage shield is secondary, but the morsel generation is good if you don't have a better way to do it. And you can play this, right? Just slap a cost reduction on it.
We didn't talk about it at all, but there is the one relic that gives all of your morsels damage shield.
Mm-hmm.
If you have some way to play morsels, like let's say you have the bottle, the what is it called again? The common that consumes pack morsels.
Yeah, pack morsels.
Yeah, pack morsels. You play them down first. You put them in front of a unit that's going to get hit. You can then damage shield all of those morsels, and then get more morsels afterwards again, and put those morsels where you want them to be eaten.
What if we just killed Seraph with morsels and nothing else?
I'd love to see the video of that.
That's another good meme option.
That has to be done at like C0 though. I can't imagine even at like C1 doing that.
Umbra really has some goofy shit you can do, right? Like imagine just stacking like 300,000 damage shield onto a morsel that has 3 attack.
You gotta find a better way, I think.
Steel enhancer. There you go.
Ah, he's done it.
I don't know. Overall feelings towards Umbra's uncommon cards?
Let me go back. Hold on.
I mean,
they're in 3 pages. Hold
yeah,
on.
because they have the same amount of cards as everyone else except for the Morsels.
Yeah. There's some. I would say that there's other than Crucible Collector, our Lord and Savior.
Hero.
There's not many cards that are super high impact, and I think that's due to the fact that everyone just wants Crucible Collector.
Yeah. Well, basically,
everyone has to be measured to him, and most of them do not meet his standards.
Pretty much all of these cards, with the exception of a few of them, are either gain Morsels or gain space to play Morsels, right?
Or gain energy and lose space, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah. I think they're good, right? It's good if you're playing Gorge, and for the most part, you would pass on a lot of these if you're not playing Gorge.
Yeah, that is a good point.
But most of their uncommon units have a Gorge mechanic that is worth committing to.
We talked about it before on your stream, but I really do feel like Umbra has issues with other clans if you are not trying to play a game plan that Umbra likes, because so many of their cards are committed to their strategies, and they don't fit well in other clans.
If you're playing, like, for example, Regen on the Awoken, Cannibalize is not a card you're ever picking up, right? For example. But, for the most part, like, Umbra does what it does very well, and all of these cards support that. And they have some nice X cards, but, not Prism Retrieval. Shall we? To the rares?
Yes.
Alright. Hey, it doesn't start with the spike. That's weird. Oh, because they have 3 X cards. Holy shit. That's crazy. Yeah. Starting off, X cost spell. Rare. I don't know why I said rare this time. Deal 30 times X damage to the front enemy unit. Forever consumed. I really like this card's art.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. What is that that's in the middle there? Is it like a weird bug?
I don't know. I think that might be one of the winged. Maybe that's one of the Gilded Warriors or something.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
This card's good, I think.
Yeah, I like it too. It's pretty flexible in that it's an X-costed card, and the damage ratio on the cost is not bad.
Yeah, this card pops a lot of enemies for you.
It's not like game-winning, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's helpful. Right, it's a good answer to help you killing on the front line. Help you killing on the front line. Jesus.
Yeah, that makes sense. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, whatever. That's all there really is to say about it. All right, I'm done talking. Anything else you want to say?
Important to note that it does not get much benefit from upgrading the damage, unlike the other cards. Like the X cost is just flat. It's not X times like some of the Stygian cards from the last review.
Yeah, it's not Ice Storm.
So it's not. I mean, it's still not a bad target because it'll still do 10 damage for 0, which is sometimes not terrible, but it's not a great target for it.
Yeah, typically you aren't gonna want to do that. But I will say, as we look through these, is that I already knew this for sure, but like Umbra is the best clan to take that +3 to X costed cards relic, even ahead of picking up an X card, because there's so many in this clan.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, huh?
And they're all really good for it. Up next, X cost spell, consume, gain 2 times energy. Kindle.
I don't see why you hate this card so much. I understand that it's pretty low impact in that it itself doesn't do anything other than give you more energy.
I don't hate this card.
You told me you hate this card before. I remember.
I lied to you because I've never picked this card.
Okay.
This is my Umbra card that I've never taken. However, I don't. Here's my theory craft. I don't even think this is really a magical Christmas land sort of situation. I think this is a pretty common use case for this. You just take this and you throw permafrost on it, and then you double the effectiveness of another X card with it. That's it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good plan. It's definitely a card where it's like I could really use more energy here. Too bad I spent my Kindle on the first turn because I was upset that I got it when I couldn't play anything else with it.
Yeah, and out of frustration, I just slammed this bitch down. I think that without permafrost, this card's not good because how often do you draw both your X cards together? It's kind of inconsistent. This really, really, really wants a way to freeze it.
Yeah. And I will say also that if you do not have permafrost on this, and you're in that scenario where you have this card and there is something good to play with it, it's probably worth playing to consume it just to get it out of your deck.
Yeah.
Because it'll probably, by the time it comes back around, you will not have a use for doubling your energy, and it'll be a dead draw then.
And I mean, kind of goes without saying, if you have Ice Cream, aka the Unbroken Horn, this is like an auto pick. Why would you not?
Is this an auto pick if you have Shadow Siege?
No.
What if you put permafrost on it though?
Yeah, sure then.
Okay, so
I guess
reverse then. So you have this with permafrost, and you get Shadow Siege. Is Shadow Siege now an auto pick?
Yeah, because you just pay 3 energy to play Shadow Siege. That's good.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah. Up next, X-Cost spell, consume, kill a morsel unit, trigger eaten and gorge abilities as if it had been eaten 2x times. Shroud Spike. This is the best spike, without a doubt.
Morsel Miner loves this one.
Morsel
trick.
Miner, oh baby. When you hit that fucking 14x Morsel Miner draw with the +3 X card and 4 energy on this thing, and you give your Crucible Collector like plus 140 or whatever it is, what is it? It's plus 70, but still +70 from this, like that is game winning. That wins you runs. Plus it triggers the Gorge 14 times.
Mm-hmm.
This card's really good.
It's cool. I do think it is sometimes tough to get there with enough energy for it to be useful, but like we have talked about how Umbra does generate a lot of energy, so it's not super tough.
It needs permafrost as well to time it out properly so that you have a Morsel Miner that you can play as well as Shroud Spike it and trigger that big Gorge. It is interesting to note. I said this is the best spike, but that's only because it's good at what it does, which is what Umbra does. Umbra's good at triggering Gorge. Outside of Umbra,
if you are outside of Gorge, I think this is the actual worst spike ever for you.
It's useless.
It does nothing. Yeah.
However,
like even the sap spike saps a little bit.
Yeah.
The
some
rage
armor.
Spike gives you a bit of rage, etc., etc. Like this one will do nothing if you don't have morsels.
I mean, it's kind of the same as the Awokens then.
Isn't there an event where you get a spike outside of your faction?
Yes, there is.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
Imagine getting this Awoken and Melting as your 3 spike offers.
Imagine like unlocking. Or will that event show up if you haven't unlocked the Umbra yet?
Yes, it will. It'll just always give you the 3 clans you have unlocked.
Okay. Can you imagine though, like you just unlocked Umbra, or you just unlocked Umbra and you haven't played it yet, but you're playing a run without it, and they give you that choose a random spike event, and you're like, well, I'll take Shroud Spike. Let's see what this does. You don't even read the card or something.
Yeah, or you read the card and you go, I don't know what this means. What's a morsel? And then you just try to play it on your own units and go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shroud Spike's great for what it does, though, for sure.
Yeah.
It's the boy. Anything else you wish to say about Mr. Spike?
We were ranking the spikes, right? Like S to F tier.
Yeah. It's weird to rank this one because it's like it's S, but it's also F.
Well, most of the other spikes were F2.
Yeah, dude, the spikes all suck.
This is the only one that has like a use case, honestly.
Well,
the last one is the candle, and that one is like pretty good if you are the burnout plan, and then trash if you're not. Like actually terrible if you're not the burnout plan.
I don't even think it's good if you're the burnout clan.
Like I don't know.
The big problem with it, we'll talk about it. We don't have to go into it right now. But yeah, Shroud Spike's probably the best spike, but it's also the worst spike in a lot of situations. A lot of situational stuff in there. Up next, 0-cost spell, return consumed morsel units to your hand. Wretch.
You're right, this is the cutest card art.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I doubted you.
Pretty good. I like it. Look at them just throwing up all of those morsels. So they don't die when they get eaten, so these guys clearly don't use their teeth.
Well, they haven't died yet.
I guess he eats one and then he's like, oh, I can't stomach this, and he just vomits them all out. Anyway, how is this card?
I don't even understand how the mechanic works exactly with it, because it really just feels like, is it the unit? Do you get the units you ate the last turn?
No, you get all of them for the entire combat.
Then how come sometimes it's only giving me like 5, even though I've definitely eaten like 30 morsels?
Because you can't fit more than 10 cards in your hand.
But I had an empty hand.
I don't know. Maybe you were eating the same morsels over and over again.
Does it not do duplicates?
No, it doesn't. So if you eat a morsel and then retch it back up and then eat it again, it's the same morsel. They are unique.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Wretch is okay. Like it's free and it gives you a lot of morsels in the later parts of the fight, but this card really wants you to not play bad morsels. And I can't remember exactly how this works. Please feel free to leave a comment if you do know. I believe that if you go over your hand size with Wretch, it does not do anything with the extra cards. However, it might discard them for you.
Yeah, you don't want to end up with a lot of dead plays later.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how it works.
With morsels.
This is a card that is like your capstone card if you have a ton of space, though.
Also, make sure you have enough units or room to play all those morsels too. There's the same effect. If you play this and then only play 1 or 2 of the morsels you retch back up, you're throwing 8. Unless you really want those morsels again later, you're putting a lot of dead draws in your deck.
Yeah, this is a card that is good if you're able to like be very choosy, right? Make sure you're getting a lot of morsel miners, a lot of lifesteal morsels. But overall, like, I'll pick this when I'm playing morsels typically if I need it. And, you know, you can make good use of it. Up next, unless you have anything else you wish to say about Wretch.
I have nothing else to say about it.
1 energy spell. Create 3 copies of a morsel unit. Shroud Mitosis. It's okay.
It's weird because it's probably still pretty good generation. But I feel like it's like one of the worst morsel maker cards because of the fact that it requires you to have another morsel to copy.
Yeah,
there's definitely times where you can get this and just be like, oh wait, I have no other morsels.
Yeah,
I've drawn a bad early hand and it's only units and then this and no other morsels.
Yeah, I think this card wants permafrost. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but you know.
I also do not have much experience with it. I get permafrost being good on it though.
Yeah, you just slap this on morsel miner and get 4 morsel miners in a turn, and that's your best use case, pretty much.
And with permafrost, I can see that being a pretty good use case for it.
Yeah, it's fine for that, right? It's fine. It just triples one of your morsels.
We've mentioned that a lot. Like, does Umbra actually like? Is it the most permafrost hungry clan?
Yeah, because it has a lot of X's. I would say so. And like a lot of cards, the X's and the Ember Drain cards that you want to just slap down in relentless combats, like our next card, for example. 2 energy spell, consume, apply Rage 4, apply Multi-Strike 1, apply Ember Drain 4, Furnace Tap.
It's one of the strongest cards with permafrost, just because you want to save it for that relentless turn.
Ember Drain 4, it goes without saying, it makes you miss like usually 2 turns, sometimes 1 turn, where like you just can't play your next turn. However, this is a 2 energy card that gives you Multi-Strike.
Remember One Horn's Tome?
Yeah, remember that card? 5 energy.
Remember this card? This card also gives you 4 rage as well.
Yeah, that's like whatever though. Who cares?
They're both important, right?
The 4 rage is not important.
It's important because you're giving it multi-strike, so that rage bonus is now happening twice too.
It's worth like a total of like, oh god, what is that worth? Like 16 plus 12. It's worth like maybe 50 attack in a relentless combat.
Well, and then if you're playing, Hellhorn, and it's like, oh, rage doesn't go down, or you're deranged brute, etc., etc.
Yeah, sure, if you have,
it's not nothing. It's not nothing, is what I'll say about that.
If you have rage synergy, sure.
But it is definitely you're playing it for the multi-strike. That's like the selling point.
I would definitely say that this card is you pick this, you throw permafrost on it, and you just put this down before relentless when you don't care about that Ember Drain. And for that, it's great. And otherwise, this is unplayable. You miss so many turns. You can take this sometimes, like you can throw this down, and then if you're confident, right, you throw this down, and then you go.
You're the Shadow Siege lunatic, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to play any more cards. The game is already over.
Yeah. It's good though. Like, you can pick this up. It's situational. You kind of got to play with it and figure out when this kills you and when it wins you the game. I've had a few situations where it's like, oh, I was supposed to play Furnace Tap 2 turns ago and then pass my next 2 turns to not die here, which is really weird. It's definitely a complex card for that.
Another important thing to note is that Crucible Collector is not the best target for this because you're going to be consuming 2 lifesteal stacks per turn. When very often you only need to use one of those stacks.
That is a good thing to point out. He does double up on his lifesteal usage if you give him multi-strike through any capacity, and that is something to look out for.
But he's also still doing double damage now, which is nice. But
yeah, which is good.
Yeah, it's maybe you want to put it on the person behind your boy instead.
Yeah, this is a good thing to throw on like Hellhorn Prince or any Overgorger, for example.
Siege.
Who?
Shadow, is it?
Who?
Is it not Shadow Siege?
Yeah.
It is Shadow Siege. You lied to me.
Who?
You're trying to trick me.
Up next, 2 energy, 0 attack, 15 health, 3 space, Gorge, +2 attack, permanently? Overgorger.
Yo, how messed up would this card be if permanently was between games as well?
What?
Right? Like just like permanently. Just permanent.
At this point, my Overgorger would probably be like a 1,000 attack.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be pretty good, right?
That's meta progress like the world's never seen.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you feel about Overgorger?
I think what we have to talk about is when do you not take Overgorger, right? That's the real question. When is it too late in the game to take Overgorger because you cannot feed him enough power to scale enough, right?
4/4.
Floor 4?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's probably right. I don't know the exact number, but I think like the thing with this card is it's an auto pickup for floor 1, floor 2 probably as well, floor 3 getting a little questionable, for floor maybe too late, right?
I would like to pose a counter argument, actually.
Okay.
I'm not sure this is an auto pickup on floor 1. Let me run you through my exact scenario that I've had where this happened to me.
I know you had a run recently where that happened and you still lost, but that doesn't mean it's not an auto pickup.
No, Overgorger is really weak early on. And a lot of this game, in my opinion, is being able to not necessarily take the first trial, but be able to take the second trial and get something off of that. Okay. And so if you didn't get Trample Umbra, if you got Architect Umbra, and your first unit draft is Overgorger, or
that's
no. How it goes is you got Architect from your Umbra, you didn't get Trample, and then you didn't get a unit draft from your first combat, and then this guy is your unit draft between Combat 1 and Combat 2. You will not have enough damage to survive. Umbra's only going to do 20s, Train Stewards can't carry you. You will struggle. You probably have to take the other thing. However,
that is true.
If you're set up, if you're okay for those first 2 combats, you can take him, and he scales like crazy. He absolutely goes insane. You get him into the late game, he gets to be like 200 attack with multi-strike. Throw him a little health. He's great. But you have to be cautious. Mm-hmm. He's got like a very specific range where you're allowed to take him, and if you get him in that range, he will win you the game. Mm-hmm. Would you like to add anything else?
Is he the only card who has like a twin who is a different rarity?
I was thinking the same thing. I think so.
His twin is Shadow Eater.
Yeah, who is uncommon.
Like uncommon, and he is a rare. I think most of the other brothers usually are the same rarity level.
Yeah, and it's also weird because there's no other rare unit for Umbra. There's nothing else. See, look at this. I mean, I guess Morsel Minor, right? But there's nothing else. This is it.
There's nothing else, I guess.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
I don't know where you're going with this, but okay.
Overgorger, by the way, he wants a large stone if you can swing it. It does take him up to 4 space, but giving him that plus, 35 health is really nice. Well, he just wants health, right? Because he has attack set up. He wants health and he wants like multi-strike. He really benefits.
You make him large. Mm-hmm. You put Morsel whatever, the one that makes the 2, Morsel Maker.
Yeah.
You put Morsel Maker, then the Morsel Maker will put the 2 units it generates, extend the room size, and it's like not a big deal.
Yeah, that's true. You can also do it as just Overgorger, Morsel Maker, Morsel Master, and then this guy's getting permanent +8 per turn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you get the double Gorge trigger, he's getting +16 a turn. That's kind of like that's the nuts, but you know.
And if we Shroud Spike him.
Oh yeah. He's fun. He's one of those characters that I really like because there is a like legitimate reason to keep trying your hardest to min-max the combat because it's better to get that progress for him.
It like upgrading units like that permanently is always cool. It reminds me, and it's very tangentially like not even close to being too relevant, but Heroes of the Storm, how they have the level, the abilities where it's like you have a quest now and you have to try to do this objective and you get a permanent reward for doing it.
Yeah.
That's sort of what it reminds me of. Is like there's like, you know,
there's a quest.
Overgorger's quest. Eat.
Eat. Isn't that everyone's quest though when you boil it right down?
No. Some people have to drink.
I guess.
Okay.
Alright. Up next. 2 energy spell, consume, apply trample, Umbra Stone. This is Umbra's version of the book series.
Yeah, why they got a rock?
Because they can't read or write. I don't know, they don't have paper. They're like shadow monsters.
I guess they don't have paper, that makes sense, but...
How the fuck does Overgorger write a novel? With his tongue?
Yeah, dude.
That guy can't hold a pencil. He's busy eating. He'd just eat it.
Yeah, you're right.
Apply
That's how
trample.
they stop him from eating books. They make them out of rocks.
Yeah, and then he eats it anyway, and then he does retch. Umbra Stone's fine. Like, there's nothing really to say about it. Sometimes this card's really, really strong. There's a few niche cases, but for the most part, whatever. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely a whatever. Like, if you have a really big Overgorger and you get this late game, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll give him trample. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Typically, like, even then, it's like it's 2 energy to give him trample, and you could just be playing more morsels instead.
Yeah. I think its biggest problem is that trample as a mechanic is kind of confused, in my opinion. Not many units in this game have enough damage to both punch through frontline and then have that damage carry over. It's like you want to put this on like your heavy killer almost, but like so your only unit that's going to have enough damage to make good use of trample is your heavy killer, and by the time they get to your heavy killer, the backline should be dead anyway, so it doesn't really make sense to me. It's a mechanic that doesn't fit in too well. When it does fit in, of course, it does a lot. Penumbra with trample can save you a lot of damage in times, but you know, for the most part, you're mostly taking that trample Penumbra for the big stats.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird mechanic in this game. Like, it's a mechanic that does better if you have like rail beater almost, or like a way to move enemies around.
Yeah, I can see that. But then you can just also have sweep.
Yeah.
Instead.
I mean, you can't have sweep as these boys, right? Sweep is a awoken. It's not just awoken, but it's like awoken and Stygian, right? There's a lot of runs where you can't just have sweep, but
yeah, I know.
Trample is just, it's weird because like if you have there's only like a few units in the game that really make good use of it, and if you have those units, like whatever, you know, who cares?
I've realized that Umbra really does lack AOE, huh?
Yeah, like that's why I'm ready to come around on Shadow Gorger, because the Umbra struggles with AOE quite a bit. It's like, I mean, shit, dude, Blazing Bolts is one of the few ones, right? This and like Excavation Eruption, maybe. Mm-hmm. They do struggle.
And even they're not reliable AOE. They are random damage.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas AOE is usually just like, oh, I'll kill the entire backline. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and sometimes Blazing Bolts and Excavation Eruption, they just are like, oops, I hit the front line 5 times. See you later, idiot. I'm out.
Not even that so much. More often than not, it's like, oops, I only killed 1 or 2 of the 3 or 4 backline boys right now.
Yeah. It's very unreliable. Up next, speaking of, free energy spell. This is probably the strangest spell in this game to me, by the way. Purge, deal 30 damage to the front enemy unit, add a stronger version of this card to your discard. This card needs explaining. The purged version of this card, so there's a lot to go over with Blazing Bolts. First of all, if you upgrade this in any form, the upgrades carry over. Second of all, the way this works is there's 3 iterations of it. This iteration, 3 energy, deal 30 damage to the front enemy unit a single time. That's it. Then that card goes away and you get Blazing Bolts number 2, which is 3 energy, purge, deal 30 damage to a random enemy unit 2 times, which is, you know, split 2 times, 30 damage to 2 random enemies, or the same enemy twice, and then that purges and adds a stronger version of that card, and then the strongest version, the final form after the third card, or after the second time you play it, you get deal 30 damage to a random enemy unit 4 times. Right?
Yeah.
And across all of that is 3 energy. If you upgrade it in any form, the upgrades carry over. This card's great.
So there's a time where you don't take it, right? And that's like floor 7 you get this, because you can, like, you know, floor 7 or 8, because then you don't get it to that final form.
Yeah, I think that depending on how fast you cycle, you maybe pass this on floor 6. There's definitely a point in this game where you don't take this. But for the most part, this is good. This is damage to random enemies. It kills backline. Sometimes it just wipes entire floors for you. And it's good.
And honestly, even early game, it's not that bad.
No,
right?
It's not
like,
bad.
It's a pretty playable card at the early game. You will not mind playing it, and then like it'll become really good pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's got that weird ramp up time, but it's a very strong card if you can swing it.
Is this the secret Stygian magic weakness?
Yes,
spell weakness card?
It is. I believe.
Yeah, because it's 120 damage above our magic number range.
And you can throw it a +10 and it's 160. That's a lot of damage.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Blazing Bolts is good, I would say. You know, I give you a little. What is the strongest I've ever had this card be? I had Split Anvil, the relic that makes all cards that cost, or all spells that cost less than the highest cost spell you play. So you play this and it makes all other spells that are less than 3 free. I just had that in holdover and just played my entire hand, as well as doing 120 damage to everyone every round.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a really good combo. Umbra really loves Split Anvil. as well.
Yeah, they have a lot of expensive cards, huh?
A lot of expensive spells and a lot of cheap spells to go alongside that. That's it, and that's all the Umbra cards. That's all of them.
No.
What do you mean?
You gotta turn the page, dude.
I gotta turn the page.
Here's a page.
Oh God! What is this?
This is the coolest character in the whole game.
Oh no! You're telling me 6 energy, 200 attack, 150 health, 5 space, no card text, Shadow Siege is in this game too?
Yeah.
This guy, you know, I could review this card the exact same way we reviewed One Horn's Tome. This guy is so binary.
Yeah.
This thing is ridiculous.
It can win the game on its own, more or less.
Yes, for sure.
But you have to play it.
This is a card that I think this is one of the hardest cards in this game to play because, like, unlike Consumer of Crowns, you can take Imsicle ahead of Consumer of Crowns, no big deal. This card really needs, like, Volatile Gauge, honestly. In many use cases, you just need Volatile Gauge. You can do this with Flicker's Liquor, as well as some other things, right? But for the most part, like, you have to commit to one or the other. You have to take this or Volatile Gauge first, and both of them are scary because if you don't get the other, it's fucked.
I've just realized that the deck that wants this also probably wants One Horn's Tome to play it on this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can take
it'll probably have the ability to do so pretty easily as well.
Yeah, if you can play this, you can play One Horn's Tome. This is a good card with Cave-In, because then you can, like, if you're playing this card, you're probably playing as many of these cards as you want.
Yeah, we get it, Boyix. We get it. You put 3 Shadow Sieges on the same floor together with Cave-In.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and some of them had Quick and Trample. This guy does make good use of Trample, by the way.
Yeah.
200 damage kills.
He kills Gilded Wings.
Yeah, this guy kills everything. There is nothing in this game that survives a single hit from this man. He fucks. But also, he is shit. Like, so review this card on average. Average, this card is terrible, awful, worthless. If you get it to work, this card single-handedly wins your run. Yeah. That's it. This is one of the highest variance cards in this game. Same as One Horn's Tome.
I would say he wins it more so than One Horn's Tome, because you can still put One Horn's Tome on a not great unit.
Yeah.
Like, he's got it all. I think wasn't it? I forget. It was Rising Dusk, I think, who said that it was like you put Multi-Strike on this and it takes out half of Seraph's HP on its own if it's tanking.
Yeah, I believe he did say that.
So if you have 2 of them, you win.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Still.
But, you know, if you're playing this guy, you're having a crazy, ridiculous run that's gonna go absolutely off the rails. And yeah, that's basically it, right? Otherwise, you are not taking this guy. Whatever. If you're like, oh man, help me budget my runs, I can't understand why I keep dying, and your list of things you're doing is like, oh well, 2 energy for Ember Forge and 6 energy for Shadow Siege and then 5 energy for Train Steward, and it's like, what's going wrong with my run? I don't understand why I'm not scaling up. I think I figured out what's wrong with your budget. But you know, take him because he's fun.
He's also got great card art. I like his art a lot.
He's he's pretty cool.
You look at all of the card art, looking at all these little morsels just like getting eaten and getting like torn to pieces, and then all of a sudden they're just like, yo, I've had enough of this shit.
And we've formed into the extreme morsel.
Yeah.
The ultimate, the alpha and the omega. He's fun. I mean, what else is there to say? Overall takes on the Umbra rares?
Umbra rares. Let me go back a second.
They're weird.
They're weird, but they're more often than not like again, like everything else. As long as you are in Morsels, they're probably good.
Yeah, I think
Umbra Stone not great. Kindle and like Furnace Tap. Sometimes it's Furnace Tap, like we said. You put a Permafrost on it, and it's a good card, right? Yeah. More or less, no matter what. So Umbra Stone conditional is probably going to be not great for you. Kindle conditional as well, unless you put Permafrost and you have another X card, right?
Yeah.
The rest of the cards in here, as long as you are playing Morsels, they're probably, I guess, also Overgorger, because if you get it too late, bad.
Yeah.
The rest of these, and then also again Shadow Siege. I guess I'm saying a lot of agains here. I've just realized, but like, if you're in Morsels, great. If not, all of these are not going to be good, or some of these are going to be good for you. Most of them are going to be pretty pointless.
Yeah, I would say that from the context of taking that event where it's like get a random rare card, or like, yeah, get a random rare card or get a rare draft, you probably don't want to take Umbra, because there's probably 2 of these cards that you can take from a rare draft outside of Umbra. Blazing Bolts and Forever Consumed. And the rest of these do very, very little for you. But within Umbra, these cards are all very fun and very good. Usually. Except for Emberforge. But that's an uncommon. And that's it, right?
You really gotta throw a little bit of like one little dagger into Emberforge on the way out, huh?
Hey, I was the one who was trying to theory craft Emberforge's victory, and then one of us was like, nah, no, you can't do that.
All I'm saying is it needs adapted mutation. You gotta flip it around somehow so it becomes a monster.
Yeah, if you play adaptive mutation, you kill your Emberforge, so it goes to 0 health.
But you gotta give it a little bit of attack, a little bit like a the +5 +10 or something like that.
And then it's a 30 attack 5 health unit.
Then you give it multi-strike, and then you do something else.
And then you quit the run.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll happen one day.
Final closing thoughts: is Emberforge worse than Ritual of Battle? Yes or no?
I think so.
I don't think so.
You think Ritual of Battle is worse than Emberforge?
No, I think that Emberforge is worse. Never mind.
That's what I said. I said it was worse too.
Yeah, I changed my mind. I thought about it. All right, I think that does it, right?
Let's do it.
All right. Would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah, I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. These videos are getting longer, I'm noticing.
Yeah, I think we really screwed this one up.
After hearing your complaints that the video is too long, we have made this video 2.5. What was it?
We made it much longer.
Yeah, this video is 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Instructions unclear?
Look, there's a lot to talk about with Umbra. It's not like we were being like, there's so much to talk about. Morsel mechanics, there's so many weird mechanics in this clan. What can I say? Anyway.
And we the cutest art, obviously. We had to go over that ad nauseum too.
Yeah, of course. And we had to shit on Ritual of Battle a little more. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. We will be back with the final video in the card review set, probably, because we're gonna do relics and clanless cards together, I think, in the future. But yeah, Melting Remnant should be up tomorrow, hopefully. And yeah, that's it.
Smash the like button.
Yeah. Don't forget to absolutely obliterate that like button. Ring the bell so loud that I can hear it from wherever you ring it from. And
you shouldn't ring the bell. Ringing the bell's a bad idea.
Ring the bell. Get notifications when I upload. Or else.
That's like 2 or 3 a day. That's too many.
At this point it's 3 a day. That's a lot of notifications. Do it.
Okay, you can do it.
Yeah, do it. Don't discourage them. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Farewell.